was just a couple of months. My faggot father must have had his panties up in a bunch. Cause he split, I wonder if he even kissed me goodbye. No, I don't, on second thought, I just fucking wished he would die. I look at Haley, and I couldn't picture leaving her side. Even if I hated Kim, I grit my teeth and I try to make it work with her. At least for Haley's sake, I maybe made some mistakes, but I'm only human. But I'm man enough to face them today. What I did was stupid, no doubt it was dumb, but the smartest shit I did was take the bullets out of that gun, cause I'd have killed him. Said I would've shot Kim and them both. It's my life, I'd like to welcome y'all to the Eminem show. I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to make you cry, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet. One more time. I said I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to make you cry, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet. Nah, I would never diss my own mama just to get recognition. Take a second to listen. Who you think this record is dissing? But put yourself in my position. Just try to envision witnessing your mama popping prescription pills in the kitchen, bitching that someone's always going through a person shit's missing. Going through public housing systems, victim of Munchausen syndrome. My whole life I was made to believe I was sick when I wasn't, till I grew up. Now I blew up. It makes you sick to your stomach, doesn't it? Wasn't it the reason you made that CD for me, ma? So you could try to justify the way you treated me, ma. But guess what? You're getting older now, when it's cold, when you're lonely, and Nathan's growing up so quick, he's gonna know that you're phony. And Haley's getting so big now, you just see her, she's beautiful, but you'll never see her. She won't even be at your funeral. See, what hurts me the most is you won't admit you was wrong. Bitch, do your song, keep telling yourself that you was a mom. But how dare you try to take what you didn't help me to get? You selfish bitch, I hope you fucking burn in hell for this shit. Remember when Ronnie died and you said you wished it was me? Well, guess what? I am dead. Dead to you as can be. I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to make you cry, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet. One more time. I said I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to make you cry, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet.
Yeah. Shady. Aftermath. Gee, you nick. Damn, baby, all I need is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Get it crackin' in the club when you hear the shit. Drop it like it's hot, get the work in that back. Girl, shake that thing, yeah, work that thing. Let me see it go up and down. Rotate that thing, I wanna touch that thing when you make it go round and round. Step up in the club, I'm like, who you with? G-Unit in the house, yeah, that's my clique. Yeah, I'm young, but a nigga from the old school. On the dance floor, a nigga doing old moves. I don't give a fuck, I do what I want to. I hit your ass up, boy, I don't want you. Better listen when I talk, nigga, don't trip. Yo, heat in the car, mine's in this bitch. I ain't tryna beef, I'm tryna get my drink on. Now my diamonds, my fitted, and my mink on. I'ma kick it at the bar till it's time to go. Then I'ma get shorty here and I'ma let her know. All a nigga really need is a little bit. Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. We can head to the crib in a little bit. I can show you how I live in a little bit. I wanna unbutton your pants just a little bit. Take them off, pull them down just a little bit. Get the kissing and touching a little bit. Get the licking it in a little bit. 50 coming out your stereos. Hard to tell though, cause I switched the flow. Eyes a little low, cause I twist the jaw. Pockets on swole, cause I move the O's. My neck, my wrist, my ears is froze. Come get your bitch, she on me, dawg. She must have heard about the dough. Now Captain, come on and say la. I get it crunk in the club, I'm off the chain. Number one on the chart all the time, man. When the kid in the house, I turn it out. Keep the dance floor packed, that's without a doubt. out. Shorty shake that thing like a pro, man. She backed it up on me, I'm like, oh man. I got close enough to her so I know she could hear. System thumping, party jumping, I said loud and clear. All a nigga really need is a little bit. Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. We can head to the crib in a little bit. I can show you how I live in a little bit. I wanna unbutton your pants just a little bit. Take them off, pull them down just a little bit. Get the kissing and touching a little bit. Get the licking it in a little bit. Baby, you got me feeling right, you heard me. My mama gone, you can spend the night, you heard me. I ain't playing, I'm trying to fuck the night, you heard me. Clothes off, face down, ass up, come on. All a nigga really need is a little bit. Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. We can head to the crib in a little bit. I can show you how I live in a little bit. I wanna unbutton your pants just a little bit. Take them off, pull them down just a little bit. Get the kissing and touching a little bit. Get the licking it in a little bit. All a nigga really need is a little bit. Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. We can head to the crib in a little bit. I can show you how I live in a little bit. I wanna unbutton your pants just a little bit. Take them off, pull them down just a little bit. Get the kissing and touching a little bit. Get the licking it in a little bit.
What's happening? What's happening? Hey, hey, it's your boy Lil John. Lil John. Pick your meat, click. What's up, Phony? What's happening? What's up, Sean Paul? What's happening? Hey, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time now. About that time. Turn this thing on out. Now let me see everybody do this. Hey, let's go. Snap your fingers, but do you still? You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, snap your fingers, but do you still? You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, snap your fingers, then rock with it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Go drop with it. Do a step with it. Put your hips with it. All my ladies, let me see you put a twist with it. You can't do it like me. I'm by myself. I do it so good, I don't need nobody else. What's happening? What's up? Got that fired up. What's happening? What's up? Got Patron in my cup. I pop, I drink. I'm a Patronist, but can't think. I'm but one to go. Don't know how the hell I'm getting home. Hey, snap your fingers, but do you still? You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, snap your fingers, but do you still? You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey,
Straight from the back, posted in the act. Got to hit the club, we've been mobbing all day. Drinking on some rust, dying on patrol. VIP stats. Look around the club. What do I say? Everybody rocking side to side to the beat. Snapping their fingers, bouncing to the groove. All by themselves. That's the new move. Where I'm from, we like to go dumb. I'm soaking up the game. I'm seeing how it's done. I ain't shorty what they call it. She said the pool palace. Straight from Bankhead. I said you're good at it. What you do, you and your crew. They even got players and thugs doing it too. The more that I drink, the more it's looking smooth. It's nothing to a boss. I can do the too.
hey, snap your fingers, but do you still? You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, snap your fingers, but do you still? You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it.
Chillin' in the Ville, yeah, we getting crunk. Popping bottles in these getting drunk. Put it in the air. I'm throwing up the E's to let them know we in here. Yeah, brand new shoes, brand new tools. Pull out the old school cause I'm feeling real cool. Yeah, I'm from the A, so I'm leaning and rocking. Snapping my fingers, then reaching for my reppin' my block, straight from the deck. When you snap your fingers, shout it, gotta jerk your neck. Smoking on the best, we don't f with that mess. I bet you can't do it like this. Yeah, I'm back to the track, back to the snap. 1, 2 step, then gotta lean back. Yeah, this is how we do it in the A time.
And if you ain't know,
this is how it goes down.
Hey, snap your fingers, but do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, snap your fingers, but do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, hey.
No homo. I said he's so sweet, I wanna lick the rapper. So I let her lick the rapper. She lick me like a lollipop. 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 Bottles in the club. Shawty wanna hug. You know I like to touch and love me lady love. Shawty wanna fuck. Bottles in the club. Shawty wanna hug. You know I like to touch and love me lady love. Yeah. Okay, the mama had a swag like mine. She even wear a herd on her back like mine. I make her feel right when it's wrong like a line. Man, she never had a lose like mine. But man, I ain't never seen her ass like her. That pussy in my mouth had me lost for words. So I told her back it up like burp, burp. And I made that ass jump like jerp, jerp. And that's when she licked me like a lollipop. Oh yeah, she licked me like a lollipop, lollipop. She licked me like a lollipop. Yeah, she licked me like a lollipop, lollipop. Bottles in the club. Shawty wanna hug. You know I like to touch and love me lady love. Shawty wanna thug. Bottles in the club. Shawty wanna hug. You know I like to touch and love me lady love. Yeah.
God damn, she's gonna hurt somebody.
Shout to say the nigga that she with ain't shit. Shout to say the nigga that she with ain't this. Shout to say the nigga that she with can't hit. But shout it, I'ma hit it like I can't miss. And he can't do this, and he don't do that. Shout it, need a refund, need to bring that nigga back. Just like a beef fun, I make her bring that ass back. And she bring that ass back, because I like that. Shawty wanna thug, yeah I like that. Bottles in the club, yeah I like that. Shawty wanna hug, you know I like to touch and love me lady love. Shawty wanna lick me like a lollipop. Shawty wanna lick me like a lollipop, lollipop. Me like a lollipop. She lick me like a lollipop, lollipop. Bottles in the club. Shawty wanna hug, you know I like to touch and love me lady love. Shawty call me so I can make it juicy for y'all. Call me so I can get it juicy for y'all. Call me so I can make it juicy for you. Call me so I can get it juicy for you. Call me so I can make it juicy for you. Call me so I can get it juicy for you. Call me so I can make it juicy for you. Call me so I can get it juicy for you. Call me. Bottles in the cloud. Shout it on the own. You know I like it slow, so I'm the lady long. I say shout it on the own. Bottles in the cloud. Shout it on the own. You know I like it slow, so I'm the lady long. I get her on top, she drop it like it's hot. When I'm at the bottom, she hit the beat bottom. The middle of the bed, giving, getting hay, giving, getting hay, giving, getting hay. I said, I like that. Say, yeah, I like that. I said, yeah, I like that. Call me so I can come and do it for you. Call me so I can come and prove it for you. Call me so I can make it juicy for you. Call me so I can get it juicy for you.
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live on LouTube for you. Thanks for watching. This is Uncle Lou After Dark College Football Call-In Show. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. Hope y'all are doing all right. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody tried to stay safe in those storms today. I know Alabama got hit really bad. West Georgia, too. It's been storming here for the last few hours, but nothing like what happened west of here. So we'll be fine here. Don't worry about us. But hope everybody in Alabama, everybody west of me, I'm in Augusta, Georgia. So hope everybody's okay. If you know anybody out there, make sure you check on them. Some deadly storms came through this afternoon and this evening. So hope everybody's all right. Y'all ready for the weekend? No football. Well, NFL playoffs. I'm going to watch the NFL playoffs. I don't get to watch that much NFL during the regular season because I spend so much time watching college football during the week. I feel guilty if I then sit around again on Sunday and just watch football. So I tend not to watch that much NFL during the regular season, but I do love the NFL playoffs. So I'll be watching that this weekend. The parade and championship celebration is going on Saturday in Athens. Should be a nice day up there. Cold, but sunny, about 40 or 45 degrees and sunny in Athens on Saturday for the championship parade and celebration inside Sanford Stadium Saturday afternoon. Hope everybody who wanted to go was able to get tickets. I have 2 tickets. I'm not sure if I'm going to go yet. I'm going to decide. I got to decide by tomorrow. If I decide not to go, I'm going to give them away. So I don't know how I'll give them away. Probably some kind of way on YouTube. I don't know if I'll make a community post and it'll be first come, first serve type of thing or what. But I do have 2 tickets, and if I decide not to go, I'll be giving them away to somebody. I'll figure that out tomorrow. So make sure you have your bell notifications turned on or whatever on the YouTube channel to where if I post anything, you get notified on your phone. And if you want to go but we're unable to get tickets, I may be giving away 2 tomorrow. How's everybody doing? We're going to get right to the phone lines here in just a few minutes. I cannot stay on for 3 hours today like I did on Tuesday. I'm going to be honest. I'm just I'm wore out today. I'm wore out today. I don't know if it's the rainy weather or what. I had to take Lou Jr. Lou Jr.'s in 8th grade. He'll be starting high school next year, but they had a kind of like an orientation thing at the high school tonight where he had to go up there and pick some of his electives for next year and things like that. So I've been running around. He had soccer today too, so I've been running around. Just telling you right now, I can't do 3 hours. I'll try to give like a 20-minute notice or something so that people don't have to wait on hold for a long time and then not be able to get on the show. So at some point, I'm going to say that's it, and I'm just going to go through whoever's on hold at that point. But I'll do normally I just stay on until there's nobody else to talk to. But I'm just telling you, I can't do 3 hours again today like we did on Tuesday. If you'd like to be a part of the show, just click the link in the comment section that says join the show. It'll take you to a StreamYard. Enter a name, whatever it is you'd like for me to call you. There's a camera option on there. It doesn't matter to me whether you turn the camera on or off. You're not going to be on YouTube anyway. I only use the StreamYard to connect you through audio anyway, so you can disregard the camera altogether. Turn it off, leave it on. Makes no difference to me. It's really easy to use if you've never used StreamYard before. If you can make a phone call, you can use StreamYard. Literally just click the link. You can do it from any phone, tablet, computer, laptop, whatever you have that's connected to the internet. It's really, really easy to use. Again, that link is in the description of the video, and I will try my best to post it in the comments section a few times during the course of the show. We got some people back there waiting already, so I'll try to run through the morning announcements real quick, and like I said, we'll get straight to the phone calls. But let's take roll, see who's here. Corbin McClure, Walker Dog, Hoghead, Pastor Dave, Sir UGA, Jay Shipes, Dennis Hollifield, Nepty, Baylor Man, Brian W., Chunky Nothing, Joel Schumann, Cousin Dom, Matthew Walker, Dennis Hollifield, Matt Dummett, Trucking with Jeter, Rob Neo, Riley Shoemake, Gator MF, Doghouse Lawn Care. I need to find Doghouse Car Detailing. That's who I need to find. I need to find somebody that details cars. I need the inside of my car cleaned. Sprite Man 2005, Chance, Trendy 89, Devil Dog 65 says I'm here like I'm supposed to be. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're good people. You're excellent people. Make sure you hit the thumbs up at the start of the show. That is a big help. Takes very little effort or energy on your part, but it's a big help to me, the channel, and the show. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up as we get ready to jump into the phone calls here. Lots of news in the world of college football with transfer portal. Still got some recruiting stuff going on with another signing day coming up in February. You have the Jalen Rashada disaster at Florida, which is no surprise to me. Everything that's happening at Florida since the minute they hired Billy Napier is a disaster. This is the highest rated recruit in Florida's class for this coming year, and he can't be bothered to show up. Rumors that they promised him a bunch of money and are unable to deliver on that promise, and he's a little mad about it. He was supposed to be an early enrollee. Class started a couple of days ago, and he's nowhere to be found. I believe tomorrow is the deadline for him to show up if he wants to be enrolled for this semester. So we'll see, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Florida in terms of Jalen Rashada. Now, he's already signed his letter of intent, so Florida would have to let him out of that, which I expect they will do if he decides he doesn't want to go there. But we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. Dabo Swinney has come to his senses and actually fired somebody. Only the second time in, 12 years he's ever fired anybody. Fires offensive coordinator Brandon Streeter after 1 year on the job. Brandon Streeter's been on the staff with Dabo for a while. Dabo promoted him to offensive coordinator for this past season after his previous offensive coordinator took a head coaching job. Apparently Dabo not happy with Brandon Streeter. Sent him packing. Word on the street is they're bringing in Lincoln Riley's brother, who ran the offense at TCU this year for Sonny Dykes. And he's got a track record of success. If this ends up going down, I think this is a very successful hire for Clemson. I think this is a really, really good hire for Clemson. Now, talent-wise, I think they still got some work to do, I think, with receivers on the outside. Their best receiver, Ngata, announced he's going to the NFL, so they don't have a whole lot returning at receiver in terms of experience and talent. They do have two really good running backs, an unproven quarterback, and a terrible offensive line. So the offense needs some work. We'll see if Dabo will go into the transfer portal. But you know how he feels about that. Anyway, y'all ready to start the show? Talk some college football? If you'd like to help support the show today, in addition to hitting that thumbs up, there's a Cash App, a Super Chat, and a PayPal option. The Super Chat's right below the comment section. Just hit the $sign. You can attach a note, question, comment, troll attempt, whatever you want. I'll be happy to read it and respond. A lot of people don't want to call in for whatever reason. If you'd like to ask a question through the Super Chat, I'll be happy to read it and respond. Same thing with the Cash App and the PayPal. All of those links are in the description of the video as well, but just like the StreamYard link, I'll try to remember to post them every once in a while in the comments section. Direct donations are what keep these live shows on the air, so if you're in a position to help support the show, those are great ways to do it. All right, let's get to the phones and see what y'all want to talk about. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning. How are you doing, Lou?
Doing good, sir.
Yeah, you were talking about them storms in Alabama, Georgia. Well, this morning in Oklahoma, it was a blizzard.
Oh, yeah?
I'm talking it was snowing a lot. Didn't stick, though. I woke up this morning to get my lift in at the high school, and it was snowing pretty hard after when I left.
I hear you.
Yeah, but so I've called before. I'm a huge Oklahoma State Cowboys fan, and today about pissed me off.
Why? What happened?
Our defensive coordinator left. He is taking a break. Derek Mason has said he is tired of coaching.
What? He just got there.
I know. He left. He's
Wow.
a one and done. One and done type
That's
of guy, I
interesting.
guess.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then congratulations on your Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Say that. Yes, it was a heck of a win you guys had. A great dynasty is getting prepared to be in Athens.
Uh-oh. Don't tell people that. They get mad when they hear that.
Oh, I know. Them Gump fans get mad when they hear
Oh,
that. I
boy.
got to deal with the Gump fan at my own school.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're like termites.
They are like termites. I'd agree. And this kid also, when OU's doing good, he wears an OU shirt. But if OSU's doing good, he wears an OSU shirt. He's the type of bandwagon fan that's super annoying.
I know a guy that works at Publix that's just like that. Lives in Atlanta.
Do you wear Georgia Tech, or does he? What kind of a fan is he?
Whoever's winning, and he pretends to root for everybody in the state of Georgia as long as they're winning. His clown level is through the roof. You can't possibly imagine.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, because of course everyone at my school thinks I'm just the college football nerd at my school. People really enjoy talking to me about football. The football coaches like talking to me. Do you think? I know your Georgia Bulldogs are going to be number one in the nation next year and everything, but I was thinking, do you think next year going to Tennessee is going to be a challenge, or do you think Tennessee is going to be another game where you guys beat them pretty bad? I mean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, if I had to pick the game right now, which I don't, I would think we would beat Tennessee next year, but I do think that's probably Georgia's toughest game on the schedule right now. At least it looks that way. Now, that game's played at the very end of the year, or next to the last game. So we'll know a lot more about both teams by the time that game is played than we do now. But that looks like the toughest game on Georgia's schedule right now.
Okay. Does Georgia play Alabama next year?
No. We play Auburn and Ole Miss from the West.
Auburn.
Yeah, well, we play them every year. Play Auburn every year and then rotate the other six, and Ole Miss is this year's victim in Athens. Yeah, we play at Auburn and then home against Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. I had a football coach this year who's a big Ole Miss fan. I make fun of Ole Miss because they don't even know what their mascot is.
Yeah.
They don't know. It's just crazy. Now, next year, I want to be optimistic about OSU, or Oklahoma State. People get Ohio State. I hate Ohio State. People get those two mixed up. But Oklahoma State, I hope we have a winning record. I don't see if we do, because we look like we're losing half our team, and we gain a player, then lose 3 players. I just don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, well, this year was a failure on every level. So
it was. I'd agree.
I don't know what happened. I've never seen Oklahoma State look that bad. I mean, they were like 5-0 and ranked in the top 10, and then the bottom fell out. It was weird.
I don't know. I mean, if you had to guess for Big 12 play, or do you think TCU's another contender? I have Texas Tech actually winning the Big 12 next year.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't want to put Texas Tech down, and I do like Sonny Dykes. I mean, what they did is amazing. A first-year head coach to get where he got with that talent is unbelievable. But to me, Texas Tech is not a Georgia, a Bama, a Ohio State, a Clemson, somebody that has the talent level to consistently be a top 5 or top 10 team. They're the type of team that when everything comes together and they have the right coaching and the right players and the right experience and maybe a really good QB, then they can have kind of that one-off year like they just had. But it's hard for me to imagine TCU being in a position where what happened this year is repeatable year after year. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody that Georgia's going to win the national title next year. But is there anybody that thinks Georgia's not going to be a top 5 team? No. Is there anybody that thinks Michigan, Ohio State? These teams are going to be in the top 5, 10 every single year because of the way they recruit. That's not the case with a TCU, or like we'll see Minnesota once every 4 or 5 years will go 10-2, or Northwestern, or whatever.
Or Penn State or someone like that.
Well, Penn State's not. No, I would. Penn State's closer to Georgia, Bama, and Ohio State than they are TCU and TCU, Minnesota, and Northwestern. I mean, Penn State's a super talented team. These other teams we're talking about are recruiting in the 40s, 50s, and 60s every year.
Okay, then what about Notre Dame, for example?
No, you're naming a bunch of top 10 teams. I mean, Penn State's in the top 10 every year. Notre Dame's in the top 10 every year. TCU's unranked every year. Now they're in the national title game.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because there's always at least that one surprise team.
Right, like it wouldn't be a shock if Penn State made the playoffs. I mean, it
wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be a shock if Notre Dame made the playoffs. It was a shock that TCU made it.
That is true.
And I just don't think that's repeatable. It's got nothing against Sonny Dykes, but a team like TCU that doesn't recruit in the top 10 or top 15, those types of seasons just aren't repeatable. Not that it can't ever happen again, but it's not a year after year thing like you see with the other teams in the top 5.
That was like would you say like a one-hit wonder every like 5 years
or
something?
Right. Yeah. I mean, any team is capable of doing that in a given year. But there are only a handful of teams who are capable of doing it every year, and TCU is not one of those teams.
Do you think it'll be harder I know this might be a weird question, harder for Alabama, Georgia, and those top 5 teams when we go to a 12 team? Do you think there's more of an upset likely to happen in a 12-team playoff?
Yes. All these people who say we don't, they don't want the expanded playoff because they're going to see a bunch of blowouts and blah blah. Somebody ranked 5 through 12 is going to win the national title, and it's not going to take long. Could happen the first year. Could happen the second year. I mean, I don't know, but somebody ranked 5 through 12 is going to win a national title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that 12-team playoff, especially when OU and Texas leave my conference.
Yeah.
Because
there's going to be a lot of good games during the month of December. Hey, I'm going to have to let you go. We're trying to get through the calls as quick as we can because I can't stay on for 3 hours again. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, and Lewis.
What's up, Nate?
Not much, man. Just want to talk college football for a little bit, and I know you have callers, but I'll do quick as I can. Now, I want to talk about the Harbaugh situation. I'm getting sick and tired of this freaking, the guy can't freaking make up his mind if he's gonna go to the NFL or stay in college. I'm like fed up of it. Stay or go to the NFL. Just make up your fucking mind, Harbaugh. I'm getting sick of it. What's your thoughts?
I think he's coming back to Michigan.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, but I'm just sick and tired of this every year. But yeah, that's all I want to rant about. But have a good morning.
All right, Nate. Appreciate you coming on, buddy. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good, buddy. What's going on?
Doing good. Hey, I'll try to keep this quick and simple because I know you're tired and you've done a lot of hard work this season, and you need some rest here, sir. But I didn't get to call on Tuesday. So how about them dogs, though?
Look good. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what. I mean, it's almost pointless to even discuss the game. I mean, it was just.
Oh yeah.
It was just a beatdown. There's nothing you can say other than that. Georgia dominated the game.
You know what? It is literally like watching
58 fucking points. 65.
Yeah, it's like literally watching your team just play an FCS team and you just click it off nonchalantly. I mean, that's literally what it was. I mean, there just was nothing there to it.
No.
But I mean, it was a great game, and it was. I think George came in there just way more motivated, and I predicted that TCU was going to run out of gas, and I just think they did. They ran out of gas. They're not built to last that long, to me. Kind of the season they had.
Well, it was just a mismatch across the board. I mean, there wasn't a single advantage that TCU had over Georgia, not one.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad to see Stetson went out the right way. I pray there's no hidden eligibility somewhere.
There's not.
All right.
That's
good. But I thought he went out the right way, though. I thought he had a great game. I think he had one bad throw in that entire game.
Yeah, he played really good. No question about it. Really good.
And he was throwing some, deep balls too, not just, his normal passes behind the line of scrimmage. He was actually throwing some deep balls accurately too. And it was just funny to see. It was like, I think it was like when it got to 45-0 after he threw it Brock Bowers, they showed Sonny Dykes and he just was like saying, wow. Like he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the sheer amass of talent there. But it was great seeing. It was great to see all the Bama fans right on cue come out of the woodworks like roaches.
That's how they do.
Yeah. But, I mean, that was a great point, though, that you made. If TCU didn't belong because of this game, did Alabama belong in 2018?
Right. I mean, TCU beat Michigan. People are acting like that didn't happen. Oh, I knew it. TCU shouldn't have been in. They beat the number 2 team. Michigan was undefeated. Yeah. Big Ten champion with a blowout win over the 4 team, Ohio State. And TCU beat them. But somehow TCU didn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, casual fans.
Yeah.
But, finally it was great to see Dabo Swinney grow a pair and fire somebody.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, me too. And I'm surprised who they went after, too.
What's Alabama waiting on? All I heard all year was that they're firing both their coordinators. What's the holdup? Can any Bama fans tell me why Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien are still employed when y'all have been telling me for 6 months that they're getting fired as soon as the season is over? Any Bama fan want to take a stab at that one? Or now it doesn't matter, I guess. Oh, they're great. Well, winning it all. This year, the only reason they didn't win it all is because of Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien. Now they're keeping Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding, and the Alabama fans are acting like they're winning it all next year without their best player on offense, their best player on defense. Okay, then.
Well, and it makes it even worse when, it's Dabo Swinney, one of the most stubborn coaches moves, before Bama.
Yeah, makes little to no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
Saban looked mighty comfortable in that broadcast booth.
Yeah, I would have loved to know.
Might be moving there permanently here pretty soon. Georgia ran off Bear Bryant. Would anybody be surprised if Georgia's the reason Nick Saban gets put out to pasture? No one would be surprised at all. It took Georgia to get rid of Bear Bryant, and Georgia's going to go ahead and get rid of Nick Saban too. So don't worry about it.
That sounds good. I'll take that. Well, Louis, have a great evening, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you calling in. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Lou? How's it going?
Hey, bud. I'm good.
Yeah. But it is nice to see what he just said, like with Dabo actually growing up here, and he probably caved into peer pressure or something like that to get rid of him. He probably didn't do it willingly.
Yeah, I mean, not only did he make the decision and actually fire the offensive coordinator, but I think that's a home run hire.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's a great hire, not just because of what TCU did this year. Go look at what Garrett Riley did at SMU and just the different places he was. Everywhere he's been, the offense has been good. You say whatever you want about TCU. They got about the 50th most talented team in the country, and we're scoring 41 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell me they play in the Big 12. That's fine, but didn't they score 50 against Michigan? So, I mean, we don't know how it's going to go. There are no guarantees, but this is a good hire, I think, for Dabo and Clemson. I would love to shit on it if I could. I would love to shit on this hire if I could, because I've been beating the drum of Clemson is circling the drain for the last few weeks. This is a great hire, though.
Yeah, I think so too. But one of my good friends, he's an Alabama fan, and what I just heard it there. They're gonna fire Bill O'Brien, gonna fire Pete Golding, and that's the reason that they didn't win. That's the reason that they lost 2 games, all that stuff. But he's still there. They're still employed. All that stuff.
Weird.
They act like they're gonna win the national title with Jalen Milroe at quarterback.
Mildew.
Like, gosh. But no, they say it's Ty Simpson and it's gonna be quarterback, but he couldn't even beat out Jalen Milroe for a number 2 spot this year.
Yeah, maybe it will be Ty Simpson. I don't know, but I mean, does it matter? Who on Alabama can catch a pass besides Jermaine Burton?
Nobody.
Right, and they don't even like him that much. Jahmyr Gibbs is gone. I mean, he was all they had. They're losing Will Anderson and whoever else off the defense. I don't know. I don't know if Alabama's going to be picked to win the West. I'm being dead serious. I don't know if Alabama's going to be. I'm not saying they won't win the West, but they've been picked to win the West how many years in a row? I don't know if they'll be picked to win the West next year.
I honestly wouldn't be shocked at all if LSU won it again this year. I think LSU will be good.
Yeah, and I love shitting on Texas A&M, but just because of the sheer talent they have on that team, it just seems like they're due for a good year. Now, I'm not gonna be the one that goes out on a limb and predicts them to go 11-1 and win the West. Somebody probably will. It ain't gonna be me, but it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world.
Yeah. Now, how do you think Bobby Petrino's going to be out there? I think he fits in great with A&M.
I think it depends if Jimbo lets him be an offensive coordinator or not, and that kind of is to be determined. You know, Jimbo Fisher's been running his own offense since the minute he became a head coach. So,
yeah,
you know, we'll see how much control he really gives to Bobby Petrino. I don't like Bobby Petrino as a person, just like I don't like Hugh Freeze or whatever other people I could name too. But Bobby Petrino does have a good offensive mind. So if he gets in there and he's able to do something, because there's some talent there. I mean, you can't deny. I mean, they've been recruiting in the top 5, 6 every year. I mean, there's talent there. People are going to point at people leaving in the transfer portal. Everybody, look, the better you recruit, the more people you're going to lose. And Georgia lost 15 people to the portal before this season, in addition to the 15 that got drafted. The better you recruit over a longer period of time, the more attrition you're going to have in the transfer portal. So I'm not sucking up to Texas A&M here, but there's lots of reasons to point to Texas A&M and laugh. But the fact that they're losing people to the portal isn't really one of them. That's going to happen to every team that recruits well. So if Petrino can get in there and work some magic with the talent, now they got to get some consistency at the quarterback position. We'll see which way they go there. But I mean, they're going to be better than they were this year, don't you think?
Right. Yeah, I think so.
But they were. I mean, that's like saying Colorado's going to be better. You know, that's what I'm not looking forward to this shit. You know, Colorado's going to go 4-8, and then we got to listen to everybody say, "Oh, Deion's amazing. He took them from 1 win to 4 win." Do you know how easy it is to go from 1 win to 4?
That's not hard enough. Vandy did.
This is like no offense to you, because Tennessee's doing great right now, but Tennessee fans went through this. Somebody would win 4 games, y'all'd fire them. A coach would come in and go 7-5, and y'all were happy as hell. That's easy. It's easy to go from 1 to 4 or 5 to 7. It's a lot harder to go from 7 to 10, and then from 10 to 12, and then from 12 to 15. The higher up you get, the harder it gets to grow in small increments. So, yeah, Texas A&M will have a better record next year than they had this year. So will Colorado. Neither one of them is getting anywhere near a playoff.
I mean, Clark Lee, he took Vandy from 2 wins to 5 in his second year. So
Right. When you inherit a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 win team, it's not that hard to show some improvement in the first year. Kirby Smart, on the other hand, inherits a 10-win team and goes 7-5, and people are pointing and laughing. You know, so what are you going to do?
12 the next year.
Right.
Speaking of the transfer portal, I do hope that Tennessee can get in the mix and possibly land that Singletary dude. That's the corner from Georgia that entered the portal.
Yeah, I don't really know why particular I'm not sure why in particular he left. I mean, we've recruited real well in the secondary, and he is a little undersized. He weighs 175 pounds, but I'm not real sure because, I mean, we're losing Keely Ringo, so you'd think maybe he would be in line to get some playing time next year, but you know, so I don't know the situation there. But you know me, I'm not one of these Georgia fans that's going to all of a sudden say he's terrible because he's transferring. He's a 5-star for a reason. He's really good.
Exactly.
So
I mean, if you're looking for a spot if you want to play immediately and get playing time, then secondary for Tennessee's probably the spot. That's where they need it because D-line and linebackers is coming along.
He'd be the most talented defensive player you have.
Exactly.
If you want to just go by recruiting rankings. Now, those don't always work out, but if you just go by like 24/7 ranking, he would probably immediately become the highest rated defensive player you had.
Yeah, and if you're Tennessee, you need something like that. You need to have like those players in the transfer portal, even start recruiting in those spots if you want to be successful. So
yeah,
it's just stuff like that. All right, last thing, I'll be done. You're gonna go out on a limb and pick Miami to go 10-2 again this year?
No, not making that mistake either. Miami, Texas A&M, and kiss my ass. Look, there's a better chance I pick them to go 2-10 than there is I pick them to go 10-2. I'm not falling for any more banana in the tailpipe routines when it comes to Miami and Texas A&M. I did this with Michigan forever. You remember that? For 3 years in a row, I picked Michigan to win the Big Ten, and 3 years in a row they lost to Ohio State. Finally, the year I didn't pick them which was last season, not the one that just ended, but before that, I said, "Fuck it, I'm not doing that anymore." Then they beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten and made the playoffs. So.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good rest of your show.
All right, Jace, good to hear from you, buddy. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, how you doing?
I'm good. What's up, buddy?
First off, got to say thank you for all your hard work, and I love the Champ is Here videos.
Oh, thank you.
That always puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Oh, and happy belated to your 14-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Time flies, doesn't it?
I know. Yeah, it sure does.
Well, I also got to say that the championship that Georgia won last year, it was so frustrating how people were acting like, especially Alabama fans, and I say this with a lot of disdain, like it was a fluke. But now it's like, now that they've gone back to back, it's like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't a fluke. Georgia's the new standard now, which they are.
Yeah.
And I am so happy. I could not stop laughing when Nick Saban was up there and David Pollock just basically said that to his face. It was like salt being rubbed into a wound.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are going to continue to cry and make, Georgia only did this because of this and only did that because of that. I mean, they think Georgia's like the luckiest team in the history of team sports. Some people just don't want to give credit where credit is due. I mean, find me another team that's ever won back-to-back natties that's just terrible, like they want to tell you Georgia is. I mean, was Alabama terrible in the early 2010s when they were busy winning back-to-back natties? Was Nebraska terrible in the 90s when they were busy winning back-to-back 90s? Was Southern Cal terrible in the 2000s when they were busy winning back-to-back natties? No. Each of those programs I just talked about were the dominant program for that decade.
Exactly.
And and that's what Georgia is right now. So, the crying and if this didn't happen or that didn't happen, or if Alabama didn't suck and and whatever. No, well, it's just tears is all it is.
And I'm not diminishing what Saban has done, but that's the thing when you're still in the game. Excuse me, but you got to keep winning.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it goes? If you're still in the game, you got to keep winning.
Right.
You can't just dwell on what you did in the past.
No, you're right.
And now Kirby, I mean, the way he's going, in my eyes, he's easily going to do what Saban has done and do it in less time. Because what is it? We've had the number 2 recruiting class for how many years now? But back to back, Saban's getting the number 1s, but what is he doing?
Yeah, it seems like Saban has been passed in terms of coach rankings.
In my eyes, he has, yes. It's like this. It's like, how some kids will go out and buy shoes for the way they look, but not the durability of them?
Yeah.
And then the shoes just break down and they look like crap?
Yeah.
But hey, I bought the shoes for the durability and mine still look good and they're still good. That's basically what I see these current Alabama recruiting classes as. It's like, I'm not saying they're crap. It's just you're buying them for the looks, but unlike Kirby, you're not bringing out their full potential.
Yeah.
And I mean, with all the kids that want to go to Alabama, that's what I don't understand. You have some of the best players in the nation, but you're not bringing out their full potential, not like how Kirby is. I mean, look at Stetson. I'll admit, yes, there were times I was just saying, get me JT. I will not lie about that as a true dog fan. Yes. During that championship game, I was like, where's JT Daniels? Where's JT Daniels? I won't BS like anyone else.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, his potential has been brought out, and I was wrong. So you think Georgia can three-peat next year?
I mean, they've got as good a chance as anyone else, or better than most, actually. But I mean, I'm not ready to make that. I'm not going to make that prediction. But
of course,
but
right.
you know, they're going to have a good chance.
But hey, they're number one now. And actually, before I got to go, one more thing. And actually, I should have put some money on this. During the game, I was chanting like, all right, 40 before half, 40 before half, 40 before half. And then after the half, okay, guys, 60-7, 60-7, Georgia wins, 60-7, Georgia wins. Because I heard that comment you meant, man, don't put that backup quarterback voodoo on us. I was like, oh, I wish Lou could punch that person right now. Like, seriously, don't put that bad voodoo on us. Like, seriously, man, don't do that.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. It was good to hear from you, sir. Joshua Dixon, send me an email, buddy. The link is in the description of the video. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Luke.
Hey, man. Thanks for taking my call. You're awesome to watch.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll discuss this a bunch more as the season goes. So what's your feeling about who's going to be QB1 next year?
I think it's pretty clear it'll be Carson Beck.
You think we'll lose Vandegrift then?
That would be my guess, is that Vandegrift transfers, Gunner stays. I mean, because if Beck has a good year, he could be one and done. He's already been. This will be his 4th year.
Right.
You know, so if he has a good year, he could be gone to the NFL. Gunner could be the next guy in, and then, you know, we'll see after that. But it seems to me like Brock might be the odd man out.
Yeah, it seems too. I was watching today. I forgot who was talking about it, but that guy that decommitted from Ohio State, that number 1 player 2024, the crystal ball swung towards Georgia's way on that one.
Dylan Raiola?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know I had no idea who that was until a couple of days ago when I guess he started getting mentioned for Georgia, because I don't even really follow current year recruiting that much, so I definitely don't follow like the following year that much. But we'll see. I'd love to get him. I'd love to get any 5-star, but we'll see.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you again for taking my call, man. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou, how's it going?
Going good, bud.
Man, it feels great to be a Georgia Bulldog right now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Man, this feels so awesome. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, hell, 20 years ago, all we wanted was one. Just one. Break the freaking 1980 curse. Now we got back-to-back. Man, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Do you know when it really hit me? It really hit me today or the other day. I'm not sure if you listen to other college football podcasts or YouTube videos, but occasionally I'll watch a couple. And I'll listen to one Big Ten today. It's the very, very pro Ohio State. And then we're talking about their 24 recruiting class. And they were like, man, we need to get so-and-so player and so-and-so player so we can get closer to Georgia and not stay closer to Penn State. And that's when it struck me. They're not talking about Alabama. They're talking about freaking Georgia. What can we do? Who can recruit? Who can we get inside the transfer portal so we can catch up with Georgia? And man, that just felt awesome. So I'm not sure how you feel about stuff like that. But
well, that's how you really find out how a fan base feels. You're never going to find out how a fan base feels in my comment section, because all this is a bunch of trash talk with we're going 100-0, because they know there's fans from a bunch of other teams watching. The way you find out how a fan base really feels is you go inside of their own bubble or safe space. I'm in so many other teams' college football groups on Facebook, it's ridiculous. But the reason I'm in there is I don't post anything in there, because the minute I post, I'd get kicked out because they'd figure out who I am. I'm only in there to read what other fan bases are actually thinking about their own team. It's like it's like if your mom is talking to her friend, she's going to tell her friend how great you are. But when she's talking to you, she'll tell you the truth. You need to do better in this. You need better grades. We need to clean your room, whatever. It's the same thing. These fans come in here and everything's fine. Billy Napier is great. There's no recruiting issues at Florida. Everything is fine. But then you go into Florida group and the sky is falling. And that's how you find out how a fan really feels. So if you were listening to some Big Ten Homer podcast and that's what they were saying, That's a lot more accurate representation of how Ohio State fans feel than anything you'll see in this comment section here.
Yeah, and it's not just them. It's all over. It's ACC. It's on Tennessee message boards. I mean, it's everywhere. It's like, man, we're becoming the villains.
Well, it's because it's an obvious, it's a known. Like, there's no debate. The best program in college football today is Georgia, period. If you're trying to get to the top of college football right now, you're trying to become Georgia, not Bama. I mean, that's just a fact. It doesn't mean Bama's terrible, but, you know, if you're trying to get to the top of the college football world, Georgia is the team that's on top of that right now. That's who you've got to knock off.
Yeah, I agree.
Not Bama.
I'm not sure.
Not a team that's won one national title in the last 5 years, and that was in a COVID year. Not them. Not a team that's never gone 15-0. Bama's never gone 15-0. So they're not on top right now. Georgia's won back-to-back national titles. During those 2 years, they beat every single team that's right behind them. Every single one. No matter who you think the second, third, fourth, or fifth best program is in football right now, Georgia has beat them at one point in the last 2 years. Facts. Ohio State, Michigan, Bama, Clemson. I mean, most people will tell you those are the top 5 programs in football. Georgia's beat them all in the last 2 years. Every single one of them. These people that run around, oh, Georgia had an easy schedule. Georgia didn't do this. Georgia didn't do that. Georgia's beat Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, all in the last 2 years. Who else has done that? Nobody.
Exactly. And one little more nugget for that 2020 COVID year national championship. Who was the Big Ten leading rusher or the Big Ten championship game MVP for Ohio State? Go Google a guy named Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon was like all-world running back for Ohio State. Got hurt the very first play versus Alabama in the championship game. His shoulder went out. Very first play. They're all-world running back. He did not play the rest of that game. So the next time any Alabama fan brings anything up about Mechie or Jay Will, Marvin Harrison, bring up Trey Sermon.
You got some idiot. You got some brain dead mouth breather in the comment section that says all those big programs were down when Georgia beat them. Sir, we beat Bama in a national title game, but they were down. We beat Michigan. We beat Michigan in a playoff semifinal, but they were down. We beat Ohio State in a playoff semifinal, but they were down. Sir, punch yourself in the face 15 times. I'm serious. What an idiot.
What he needs to do is go run through traffic until we say stop. Just go run in traffic.
Human Frogger. Blindfold yourself too would be good to make it harder.
Anyway, I know you got a lot of callers. I'm just telling you right now, it feels good to be a UGA fan. Go Google Trey Sermon for all my guys in the comment section that want to talk crap about Bama and Ohio State and how they complain and cry.
Everybody has injuries. The idea that you're going to play somebody the 15th game of the year and both teams are going to be healthy is just ridiculous. These people act like they just started following football yesterday. Hey, thank you for the call, buddy. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Really love that your season is over stuff, and I've started tuning in more. I just got a couple quick statements. Do Bama fans not realize what they're admitting to by talking about J-Mo and Mechie, that the #1 roster with the best college quarterback that year and the greatest coach of all time couldn't sustain 2 injuries on offense?
It's ridiculous.
Like in critical, yeah. Like, I mean, you're the #1 roster. You get no gimme from me. It's the same thing if Georgia has injuries. If Georgia would end up losing to Ohio State and ran around and said, well, Darnell Washington, when he was in, it was 4.8 points per drive, they'd give us hell.
Let me ask you something. Is there any player on Georgia's team that they could have lost and then not been any good? No, not at all. Because we're built as a balanced team. When we go through the recruiting classes, Georgia is clearly fitting pieces of a puzzle over and over and over again. They're not just going for the shiny thing. Right.
And it's just outrageous to me that a bunch of these elite teams and elite programs have to fall back on excuses because Georgia's establishing its legacy. I mean, the guy who just brought up all those teams were down, no dodo. Michigan just won the Big Ten for the first time in how long? They just beat Ohio State for the first time in almost 20 years. Absolutely outrageous to assume, oh, well, they're down. And also, if they're down, that's their coach's fault. If Saban let Bama down for 2 years in a row, is that Kirby's fault or is that Saban's fault?
This year was the worst coaching job Saban's ever done, period.
1,000%.
The worst coaching job of Nick Saban's career just ended in 2022. It was absolutely pitiful. Alabama had the best roster in all of football, the returning Heisman winner at quarterback, the best player in all of football on defense, and they lost to Tennessee and LSU and barely survived against the worst Texas A&M team in my lifetime.
And Texas.
And barely and Ole Miss.
And Ole Miss. And
just a pitiful coaching performance this year by Saban.
Absolutely. And now we're already hearing the narrative of, oh, the revenge tour. What Pollock said lit a fire under Saban. Last year should have lit a fire under Saban.
This year was supposed to be the revenge tour, and they fell flat on their face. All they did was every single week they went around stepping on a rake. That's it. They just kept stepping on a rake over and over again. Led the country in penalties. Led the country in drop passes. Pitiful.
Absolutely. And here's the last thing I'll say, because they're blowing my mind with all these terrible narratives and excuses for a program that's established their dynasty. Bryce Young, the best college quarterback to come through your program, left with one meaningful ring, and that's an SEC championship game.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You wasted.
Poverty.
All right, Uncle Lou, I really appreciate you having me on the first time call. So.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. Look at that.
5-star caller.
Yeah, 5-star caller. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. You're muted. You got to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hey, what up, Uncle Lou?
What's up, buddy?
Man, we over here. Hey, double back. Hey, back-to-back champions, boy.
All work is easy.
Drop the bomb on these niggas.
No N-words.
Hey, my bad. But yeah. Nah. Hey, man, how it feel, man?
It feels good. It feels pretty good. Hey. Yeah, I'm glad to see my hard work pay off.
Hey, for real. Hey, we done pulled up at Dick's, man. The manager over here, she was over here talking about y'all don't need to, y'all need to stop winning because I'm tired of opening up the store and all this on third shift. I'm like, bro, hey, well, tell other folks to do better.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, man, hey, we good, man. But yeah, hey, I just want to say, man, hey, this been a long time coming, man, and we really, I really appreciate what we got going on right now, and we're gonna run with it.
Sounds good to me. I'm with you.
Yes, sir. Hey, all right, man. Hey, look, you be good, Lou.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you next time, man. Thanks for coming on, Will. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, Lou. How you doing tonight?
Doing great.
Well, they've done it again. The Bulldogs have done it again.
Unbelievable.
Yes, sir. And of course, I was rooting hard for you guys. You know, it kind of made my Mizzou look good. When you guys win like that, it made us look good too because we hung tight with the champs.
That's right. Y'all are almost as good as Ohio State.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, buddy. Oh, man. So, what's on tap next for Georgia? What are they going to do next?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, Joe Beck can be the quarterback? Or...
Yeah, Carson Beck will. That's my guess, is that Carson Beck will be quarterback. I'll be surprised if it's anybody but Carson Beck.
Oh, cool. So, yeah. So, and then the defense is going to be good.
Yeah, I don't ever worry about the defense. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. So, and then offense, the wide receivers, my goodness, that's going to be crazy, bud.
Oh yeah, Bobby might be one of the best wide receiver rooms Georgia's ever had next year. If you count Brock Bowers at tight end and A.D. Mitchell coming back, Ladd McConkey coming back, Ra Smith, the guy from Mizzou.
Love it coming in, yes, Joe.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my goodness, you guys are gonna really love this kid. You're gonna really love him because he's a really good player.
Yeah, he was y'all's leading receiver this year, wasn't he?
Yes, Joe.
Yeah.
Yes, he was too.
Yeah.
So yeah. All
We'll
right, buddy.
see what he can do. All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was good to hear from you. Take it easy. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, man, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I listen to you on the way to work. Listen to you when I come home from work, man.
Thank
I
you.
listen to all the replays and things like that. But, I want to say, okay, you said something, I think about a couple weeks ago when you was like any quarterback that comes in, it's like a system thing, because if you look at JT Daniels, like, he was good with us, but ever since he left, like, he ain't really been that good. And I think it's because, the offense that Todd Monken runs with us, it kind of makes it easier. You know what I'm saying?
Todd Monken's a magician. He doesn't get enough credit. Todd Monken is an
he
absolute genius. Going back to your point about JT Daniels, we spent an entire offseason practicing and preparing to run a certain type of offense. The minute
with Jamie Newton, right? With Jamie Newton, it was going to be a little bit.
And then JT Daniels, and when they went down and we put Bennett in, they threw all that out,
right,
and started completely over from scratch with a totally different offense design for Bennett. And they did it in the middle of the season, and went on to win a national championship. Todd Monken is an absolute genius. He's probably the single most important piece of that offense. Well, I was saying a minute ago, there's not anybody Georgia could lose that would have affected the outcome of a game. Losing Todd Monken could hurt Georgia. He is he's the best offensive coordinator we've ever had, and I don't know if anybody else even comes close.
Yeah, I hope we keep him for a little while longer. And okay, so speaking of that, right? So do you think Carson Beck, with him coming in, do you think we're going to open up the passing game a little more now?
I think you'll see more downfield passing with Carson Beck than you saw with Stetson. And this is not a knock on Stetson thing. Different players have different arm strengths. That's just a reality. And Carson Beck's got more of a prototypical NFL arm than what Stetson Bennett had. Now, Stetson Bennett does some things that I'm sure probably Carson Beck might not be as good at. Like he
with the mobile.
Maybe he's not as elusive. Maybe he's not as shifty or quick. We'll see when we get to see him play more. But there's you can watch the two of them warm up and tell who's got the better arm right away. I'm not knocking Stetson. I'm just saying Carson Beck's got a better arm. So maybe there's a little bit more downfield passing. I mean, if it comes to fitting the ball in a tight window, that's something that I would trust Carson Beck maybe a little bit more than Stetson because of the arm strength. Now, accuracy and things like that, we'll see. Decision-making, getting Georgia in and out of the right play, all that stuff's unknown about Carson Beck. Watching him play in the fourth quarter is not really an indication of what you're going to get from somebody in a full game. I mean, it's just not. Now, I've liked what I've seen from Carson Beck, and physically he's got all the tools. But, until somebody goes out and does it, it's hard to be 100% confident in anything. But, and look, if he falls on his face, I like the option that we have behind him too in Gunnar Stockton, because Gunnar Stockton to me does give you the mobility and the elusiveness and stuff that we had with Stetson, and he's also got an arm. So Georgia's got two, I think, legitimate options at QB that I'm comfortable with, and with Todd Monken there, I think either one of them would do fine.
Yes, sir. And not to knock Bennett, but they both can see over the line of scrimmage too. That's just
that is a benefit. That is a benefit.
Yes, sir. And I have one more thing. Stephen A. Smith and Keyshawn Johnson, man, they need to be quiet. I hate listening to them talk. Like every time, like after the national championship, it happened last year too when Keyshawn Johnson made the dumbass excuse saying that Alabama was playing with all freshmen against us in the national championship game. Did he forget that A.D. Mitchell was a freshman also that went up against Jackson, the cornerback? Remember the play when one of the Alabama players hit Stetson Bennett across the face mask, which gave us a free play. He just threw it up, and A.D. Mitchell went against him and caught that touchdown pass. Well, the other dude on the other side also was a freshman too. It was a freshman going up against a freshman. So how can you make that excuse saying that we're playing a bunch of backups and freshmen? I didn't understand that. I really didn't like that. And then
almost everybody that scored in the national championship game last year against Alabama was a freshman.
Exactly.
Brock Bowers, A.D. Mitchell, Keely Ringo. These were all players playing in their first year. Keely Ringo was a redshirt freshman, but that was his first year playing. He was hurt the entire year before.
Exactly.
So the idea, it's just, look, I could do a 24-hour live stream where we do nothing but talk about the ridiculous excuses people make. But, I mean,
yes.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's terrible. And Stephen A. Smith, he picked TCU. To be honest with you, Lou, I'm glad. Every time he picked someone to win anything, it always be the opposite. Every time he predicted the NBA Finals, it always go the other way.
I like Stephen A. Smith, and I almost feel bad for him. He doesn't care about college football at all. He doesn't. He's forced to talk about it because he has all those hours to fill every week on ESPN, and they make him do a college football segment. He's not a college football guy. I like Colin Cowherd. He doesn't know shit about college football either. He's ignorant. Now, NFL, Colin Cowherd's great. NBA, Stephen A. Smith is great. NFL, Stephen A.'s okay. But when it comes to college football, these people don't know what they're talking about. They don't watch college football. They don't. You can't tell me Stephen A. Smith is sitting down on Saturdays watching college football. It's not happening. Neither is Colin Cowherd. These are pro guys. So their opinion on college football, it means absolutely nothing to me. I almost feel bad for them that they get forced to even talk about it.
Yeah, I feel you. And the last thing, man, being a Georgia fan, being a UGA fan, I know I'm supposed to hate Florida more than anybody, and I hate Florida with a passion. I just hate them. I hate the stupid colors. I hate all of that. But the way Alabama fans have been talking the last 2 years, basically, man, I'm starting to hate Alabama a little more than Florida. Like, y'all, they so entitled for no reason. Then they keep saying that they supposed to been if they was in the playoffs, this wouldn't have happened. We would have beat y'all too. We would have beat y'all the same way. So, like, y'all was weak this year. Y'all was a weaker team. You know what I'm saying? So, like, stop making excuses and stop saying if you was in the playoffs, it would have been different. It wouldn't have been no different. You ain't got no receivers. You really ain't got no running back, to be honest with you. Your offense is really kind of weak. Will Anderson is not the best player in the country. I don't even know why he's going so high in the draft. If you look at his stats, it was dramatically down from last year to this year. Y'all didn't have nothing, man. So stop saying that, oh, we would have gone to playoff. It would have been different. And that was the same thing Stephen A. said, talking about, oh, man, Alabama, even though they lost 2 games, they shouldn't have been in the playoffs. They lost to Tennessee, and we drugged Tennessee. We crushed Tennessee. So what make you think them getting into the playoff, we wouldn't have did the same thing to them? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but I think I hate Alabama just, 2% more than I hate Florida right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but, I don't, that's all I had to say. I love your show, man. I'm going to continue to watch. And now that I know it's so easy to join, to join the stream live, I'm going to try to catch every show, man, except for the morning because I work in the mornings. Yeah. But the nighttime, I promise I'm going to try to catch every show, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's easy to use. I'm glad you said that. A lot of people don't call in because of the StreamYard thing. It really is easy to use, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Easy. I'm glad you called in. Yeah. I hope to hear back from you. I appreciate you coming on. Another 5-star call.
5-star caller.
Amazing. Colby, thank you for hitting the PayPal link today to help support the show, sir. He says, Lou, thanks for losing 15 pounds in the offseason so UJ could go back-to-back. Look, I'm willing to put the work in. And whatever I have to do this offseason, I might have to do that too. I might even start exercising. I have to take it up a notch. I lost 15 pounds without doing any exercise. This offseason, I might actually start exercising. Then y'all are really screwed. Really screwed. Dylan, thank you for the super chat. He says, great to go back-to-back. Go dog. It is great. It is great. He said go dogs, too, so I better get him one of these. Yeah. Super Denny Gumper, thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, Kentucky basketball fan, your season is over. I've seen more Kentucky people crying about basketball over the last couple of weeks, I think, than I've ever seen. I don't pretend to follow college basketball that closely in the regular season. Now, I love March Madness. Conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament, I absolutely love it. March Madness might be the single greatest sporting event in all of sports. I absolutely love it, but I don't pretend to follow it that closely during the regular season, mainly because I think the college basketball regular season is the most irrelevant regular season in all of sports. You can go 0-30 in the regular season in college basketball and still make the NCAA tournament. If you win if you get lucky, win 5 games in a row to win your conference tournament at the end. You can literally be 5-30 and be in the NCAA tournament. The regular season is absolutely irrelevant in college basketball, but Kentucky must be doing really, really bad because the number of Kentucky people I see running around now is it Calipari that coaches there? They want him fired now. I mean, Georgia's having the best start to a season they've had in a while. I mean, Georgia only won like 3 or 4 games all of last year. They won again last night, beat Mississippi State. They're 12-4, I think Georgia is now. Beat Auburn last week, who was ranked. Mississippi State was 12-3. They beat them. Georgia might actually make the NCAA tournament this year. We're just now starting to get into conference play, so I've tried to like not get too enthusiastic or optimistic about Georgia because a lot of times you'll see teams start off pretty good early when they're playing garbage teams, and then once conference play starts, they kind of start to fall off. But already this early with a win over Auburn in a 12-4 Mississippi State team, I mean Georgia probably doesn't need but another 8 or 9 wins. And they can get in the tournament. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But thank y'all for hitting the super chat to help support the show. I really appreciate it. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Lou. How are you?
Doing good.
First, you better be careful. I think there's some bad weather coming your way here in a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's been storming here all afternoon, and so we'll see if I don't know if it's supposed to get worse overnight or not. But yeah, I know there's been storms tracking all through Alabama into West Georgia today. So
yeah. Well, be careful. So 3 things real quick. Number 1, I noticed I've been watching kind of all the players that have been declaring, or there's been a couple that said they were going to go in the portal.
Yeah.
I guess the last 3 guys, and I didn't even realize McClendon even had any eligibility left, but they're still waiting on McClendon, Jones, and Van Pran to decide what to do.
Yeah.
If 2 of those 3 guys decide to come back, they better win that award for best offensive line because there's no way they're not going to have the best offensive line going into the season.
Yeah,
without question.
Yeah.
Do you see any of them staying, or do you think all of them are gone?
I would. Van Pran, I think, is gone. Warren McClendon, I think he's probably gone too.
And then Jones. I thought Jones was the highest rated one of the 3.
Yeah, they're probably all 3 going to be gone. I mean, now, Amarius Mims will move in at right tackle. I'm not worried about that. I mean, Georgia will have a good offensive line next year regardless.
Yeah.
It'll be relatively inexperienced early in the year if all 3 of those guys go, though.
Well, we will have to see how that goes. But I noticed, and I'm sure you weren't, but towards the end of the game, I caught myself kind of looking for anything just to pay attention to because you kind of got caught up in the fact it wasn't a game anymore. And I noticed the last touchdown they scored, something Georgia's going to have to work on next year. They had a new holder. And I'm not saying it was the kid's fault why the kicker missed the kick.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I didn't think about that, but you're right. Stetson's been the holder for the last 3 seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to miss him at quarterback, no doubt about it. But that is an important position, and the kicker, too, for that matter. They're going to have a new kicker next year as well. So,
yeah.
And I don't know if they've got somebody on the roster already or if it's the kid they signed, but those are going to be 2 positions. You got to find something.
A lot of times they leave it up to the kicker. They'll practice 3 or 4 guys at holder and let the kicker. That's why Stetson remained the holder, because that's what Pod wanted.
Interesting.
So now, if the kicker wants somebody to hold that's not any good, then the coaches will have to step in and say no. But if there's 2 or 3 guys that are kind of, fighting for the job of holder, it's usually a backup quarterback or something. But
that's what that's what always surprised me to keep seeing Bennett out there, because I'm like, what happens if quarterbacks get hurt all the time? What happened if he were to get hurt?
I think he was holding for Pod while he was 3rd string in 2020 in the off season.
Okay,
you know, because we, you know, it was supposed to be Jamie Newman, and then he was gone, and then it was DeJuan Mathis, and he was no good, and then it became Stetson Bennett, and then it became JT Daniels, and like that whole offseason, Bennett was like 3rd or 4th on the depth chart, and I think that's how Bennett became the holder, and Pod just got comfortable with him, so Bennett kept holding even after Bennett became the starter into 21 and 22.
Well, I don't know about the long snapper. I don't know who does that, if it's the same player coming back or whatever. But, you know, that'll be something. The field goal, I don't know if the Podinsky or whatever his name was did the kickoffs or if somebody else did the kickoffs. But those are going to be things they're going to have to figure out more so they've had to do for the last couple of years. It seems like they've always had a good kicker.
Yeah, the punter's coming back. Thorson, this was his first year. But, yeah, we'll need a new place kicker. And, yeah, Pod did the kickoffs too. So we'll need somebody for kickoffs, field goals, and extra points. And like you mentioned, a holder.
And something I just wanted to ask you, and you don't have to be honest for your show if you don't want to, but when you're watching those games and it's not Georgia playing, do you pick a team, or you just say, I don't really give a shit, it's not Georgia, so whoever wins wins?
Well, it depends on the situation. I bet on a lot of games, so if I've bet on the game, there's that part of me that wants that certain team to win, and then I'm an SEC homer, so like bowl games, I usually want the SEC team to do well.
So you rooted for Tennessee over Clemson?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I caught myself figuring out who I hated more of that game, and it was definitely Tennessee. So you don't know it until you watch it, but it was definitely Tennessee. But I think this I do think Spencer Rattler coming back for South Carolina makes them better. They're not going to beat Georgia, but it'll be a lot closer than 55-7 or whatever it was. And I think Tennessee will be the hardest game of the year.
Yeah.
But outside of that, unless something just completely falls apart, you should have a fun job next year.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia should go 12-0, 11-1 at worst, and I'll take my chances with that in any year.
Well, have fun this offseason. You deserved it.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, Lou. How you doing?
Doing good.
Every time I call in, I swear, it's like I call in with the intention of discussing what I want to, but then I hear about 10 other things that piss me off before I get on the line that I have to go on off about.
Now you know why I get more and more mad the longer the show goes on, because I have to hear everything that's said on every call.
I'm not going 3 hours tonight. Yeah. And believe me, I get it, you know, but okay, here's my rant, and then I'll get to what I actually called in for. Okay.
All right.
I am a blood bleeding red and black diehard 40-year dog fan. But now I've always tried to respect and not underestimate Alabama. I get it. You know, their accolades speak for themselves. I don't know that – I hope we will, but I don't know that we'll ever have as many national titles as they do. Okay, that being said, why are these fans talking about Alabama like, okay, the hot chick at the party that everybody's talking to, and all of a sudden she gets jealous and pissed off because some new young hot thing walks in the door and all the boys want to talk to them now. And they just are losing their shit because they can't stand anybody else in the SEC getting their attention.
You're asking me why that is?
Yeah, well, I mean, what the hell? I don't understand.
Because they've all became fans over the last 10 years, so they've never seen Alabama lose before.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
All right. Well, in that, okay. Thank you. I don't understand that logic.
The Alabama fans who were fans in the mid 90s to mid 2000s, they don't cry like that. It's the people that became Alabama fans post Nick Saban. They're the ones that cry like that.
Yeah. You know, I mean, my God. I mean, it's just like when Saban came in, you know, Jesus Christ, they were still, you know, I mean, it's just like they act like that, you know, you're still pretty. Okay. You guys, you're Alabama, you're still pretty. But I mean, I'm tired of talking about that shit. What I wanted to know and what I wanted to discuss with you is, how bad this year do you think the NFL draft is going to hurt us?
I mean, can it hurt? We broke every draft record known to man last year. It didn't seem to hurt.
Right.
So I'll say not at all would be my guess.
Well, I guess more specifically, are there any key players do you feel like that we're going to lose that, are seriously going to hurt our competitive chances going into the 2023 season?
It's gonna. I mean, there's no replacement for Jalen Carter.
Yeah. So Jalen Carter.
Yeah, there's no replacement for him. I mean, we're going to have a good defensive line, but individually, there's no replacement for Jalen Carter.
But it's just like, Bowers isn't going, McIntosh isn't going, Mitchell's not going.
Has McIntosh said he's not going?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, because you've really got your hand on the pulse of everything, and so that's kind of what I wanted to ask you. Is this like, do you see us going in the year stacked, or do we have personnel that we've got to replace?
Well, I don't know anything about McIntosh. I'm always surprised if a running back has an opportunity to go to the NFL and doesn't, just because they have the shortest shelf life of any position in the NFL. I mean, the average running back is in the NFL for 3 years, and every year you stay in college is taking a year off of that. I mean, you only have so much tread on your tire, so I'll be surprised if McIntosh comes back.
Gotcha. Okay.
As far as anybody else goes, I mean, we're losing Stetson Bennett, but the reality is, whatever you think about Stetson Bennett, he was the least talented starter on the offense. So,
well, see, that's kind of the way that I feel about it. I mean, it's just like it's
not going to hurt to lose him. Georgia's offense isn't built around a quarterback the way Alabama. See, it's going to be much harder for Alabama to replace Bryce Young and Ohio State to replace C.J. Stroud than it is for Georgia to replace Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. I mean, and honestly, from what I understand, we recruited some pretty damn, and again, not looking past Carson Beck because he's probably going to be our guy, but we recruited some pretty damn good quarterbacks in the offseason, I think, did we not?
We didn't sign a quarterback in this class, if that's what you mean.
Oh, we did not?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. Again,
but we've got 2 5-stars and a 4-star, so already.
And this is why I'm glad you're here, Lou, because
Carson Beck's a high 4. I mean, he was Gatorade Player of the Year his senior year in high school in Florida, won a state championship. He'll start next year. Brock Vandergriff's behind him. He's probably the odd man out. Gunnar Stockton is behind Brock Vandergriff. I mean, they're not hurting at the quarterback position.
Right. So going in 2023, we've pretty much offensively, we've pretty much got everybody that we had last year, is basically what you're saying then.
Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, all coming back. Arian Smith coming back. Kendall Milton coming back. Branson Robinson coming back. Oscar Delp coming back. And either 2 or possibly 3 starters on the offensive line coming back. But we started 7 different people on the offensive line this year. So,
yeah.
I mean,
right on.
I mean, we're not. No. I mean, Georgia's going to be ranked number 1 in every preseason poll in America heading into next season. That was not the case heading into this season.
And that is exactly why I'm glad you're here, Lou. Thank you for letting me call in.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what I wanted to know. Have a great show.
All right. Good to hear from you, buddy. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello? Wait, am I on?
Hello?
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 Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Weird. Can you hear me? Am I a fucking dumbass or what? 5-star dummy?
Oh, I hear you now. Go ahead.
You can hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? What the fuck?
Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Sorry, Uncle Lou. Eating some chicken over here on the sideline. Is it my go?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you say, Uncle Lou?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. What a win. What a year. What a dynasty we're building. Right?
We'll see. We need one more national title in the next 3 years.
Hey, we're going to get it. But for the next, what? It's going to be 300. What's 365? And 365, that's 730 days.
Okay.
We're going to wear that crown for that long. Hey, let me talk about Kirby Smart here for a second, because Kirby Smart's already outdone the great Nick Saban. He's got more rings in the last 10 years on his fingers than Saban's got. He's got 4 national championship rings on his fingers. He's going for the one for the thumb this coming up year, right?
What are you doing? Giving people coordinator credit?
Yeah,
I'm not going to play. I'm not going to.
He's got the ring. Hey, listen, I've got quite a few Bama fans, and they are all very unhappy when we, according to them, stole Kirby from them, right?
Yeah.
Kirby left Alabama, and we stole him and came to Georgia. They're upset about it. They knew that they lost something when they lost Kirby, and they did. Look at what Alabama's done since Kirby's left. They've won 1 title, but it was a hell of a game, and we wasn't even supposed to be there yet.
Yeah. Well, they won 2 since Kirby left.
They won 2?
17 and 20.
Well, yeah, maybe you're right. But so maybe he's got another year to go for the thumb, but that's all right. Saban can keep on wearing that blue suit up in the booth and keep doing Aflac commercials because he's lost his fire.
Yeah.
He's lost his fire.
Yeah, he looks comfortable in the booth. He'll be there permanently soon.
It's okay to eat chicken on the sideline, right?
Yes.
It's okay. Them dogs. Hey, man, I'm going to eat it up. I'm going to gloat. And we're going to reload for next year, and we're going to do it again, Kirk.
Sounds good to me. You don't have to convince me. I'm on board.
Hey, Luke, I also want to thank you for an outstanding season that you had.
Thank you.
Not only did you lose them, and you brought it every week. Opened it up. It seemed like you didn't have to censor yourself. The censorship went away. I'll tell you what, if I had more time and didn't have so much chicken in my mouth and was better at editing, I'd do an Uncle Lou Greatest Hits. Think about it. I go back to the church fire at Notre Dame, the cathedral fire.
Oh, yeah.
Burn that down. We're going to get the preacher, the $1 million preacher that went to Miami. We're going to get him in on it. Get you to do another rap. A Tennessee fan to bring in the heat.
That poor
man,
guy.
I'll tell you what a fucking year, dude.
That poor guy.
What a year.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Loving it. Appreciate you letting me be on the show. Nick Saban lost his coaching touch, man.
Yeah. He's
True
too old.
Alabama
He doesn't
fans,
even know where he
they
is
eat
half
him
the
up.
time. Yeah.
They
He
eat
doesn't
him
even know
up
where he is.
on the sideline. They see Saban over there, got no fire. Sitting over there like, hope you're dome.
Yeah.
Pisses them off because they know it. Kirby had the fire on them teams.
Yeah, watching Nick Saban try to coach football today is like watching Vern Lundquist in his last year broadcasting for CBS. It's just sad to see at this point. Hey, Troy, thank you for coming on, buddy. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, boss. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Chris. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Hey, this Clemson hire. I know you're a pretty common co-host and guest on Carolina Jackpot and Rob's show. Does this not kind of qualify as a gimmick offense they're bringing in? I mean, it's spread, it's fast, it's out of the Mike Leach tree. I mean, he learned under Mike Leach just like Heupel did. I mean,
yeah, I don't know if it's a gimmick. I do think it's a good hire. I don't know if it's a gimmick. We'll have to see what he does at Clemson, but I don't know if I would describe it as a gimmick. No, I don't know. I think it's a good hire.
Well, I mean, Josh Heupel's a good hire, but he still gets that gimmick label.
It's a gimmick. That's why.
How so?
We've been over this 100 times. All I'm going to do is tell you the same things I told you before. Tennessee can't line up and beat anybody. They'd be a 6-6 team. They score points by running plays while the defense is still laying on the ground. That's it. That's it.
They didn't even go that fast against Clemson. They smoked them.
Okay.
Top 10 team Clemson. I mean, I don't know. If you go and look at plays per minute, TCU's 2 spots behind Tennessee, so they were obviously rushing too.
Well, then why was TCU in the national championship game with a less talented roster than Tennessee then?
Because they play. I mean, Tennessee beat more.
You don't think TCU could beat South Carolina?
You never know. I mean, they struggled with most teams. They didn't even have their starters. I mean,
but they beat them. But they beat them.
I mean, I guess we'll see. if we stomp the shit out of South Carolina next year, I mean, what's that matter? I mean, who knows? I mean, could Alabama? We don't know if Alabama could have beat South Carolina. I mean, every team they played well with. You sit here and you give Alabama hell because they didn't.
Well, we don't know
nobody.
we don't know anything if teams didn't play. But you
Well,
would
I mean,
pick
you give
South
Alabama
Carolina
hell
over
because
Tennessee. I mean, you would pick South Carolina over TCU.
No, but I wouldn't have picked South Carolina over Tennessee. You don't know until the game's played.
That was,
hell, you get. But I'm saying you give Alabama all this hell because
You there?
A non-win Kansas State without their starting quarterback, and the moment he came back, he beat them. I mean, was TCU really that good? I mean, a lot of people say Michigan gave that game up too. I don't know. We didn't get stomped by 60 points by Georgia. TCU did. So are they really that good?
Well, Georgia just got lucky, I guess. It's
I
been
didn't say Georgia got lucky.
it's
Georgia's
been
most talented
25
team in the
years
country.
since Tennessee got lucky. It's been 25
Georgia's
years since Tennessee got lucky.
Georgia's the most talented team in the country. But when you sit there and you have a common opponent, and one beats them by 60 fucking points, and one beats them by 14 points, you kind of know who's going to be the better team. When I guarantee it, if Tennessee and TCU face each other,
How bad did y'all beat Missouri? How bad did y'all beat Missouri?
I don't know, like half 100.
We beat them by 4. What did that mean? What did that mean when we played you? Nothing. It meant nothing. It meant nothing.
If TCU and Tennessee faced off at a neutral site tomorrow with the teams they just had, who would be favored? I promise you, it's not Tennessee or it's not TCU.
What, sir? You just got done saying it doesn't matter who would be favored. You were favored over South Carolina by 28.
I'm just saying that it shows the type of teams they are. Nobody thought TCU is fucking Purple Houston, dude. They had no business being there.
What team in America would be favored over Georgia on a neutral field?
No team, but no.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I can tell you 100 teams.
Have a great day. Thank you. Have a great day. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I just wanted to say first thing. I've been watching your channel since about 2015.
Oh,
like I'm supposed to.
Thank you.
Like I'm supposed to. And you've given me a lot of laughs and a lot of recently I've had a lot of laughs at a lot of Ohio State criers and a lot of Alabama criers. I had a couple questions for you. One of them's about scheduling. So I feel like a lot of people are kind of tired of the SEC scheduling with their, the divisions and whatnot.
What they're tired of is the SEC winning. That's what they're tired of.
Well, no, I mean, even SEC fans, like season ticket holders, like just seeing us destroy Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee every year. Like, so what's your preferred, whenever the SEC realigns, what's your preferred way that they redo it? Like with the pods?
No, I want the 3-6-6 model. That's what we're getting. 3-6-6.
Okay, yeah, 3-6-6. So
yeah.
So then who's your
I mean, I want to play Florida every year. I don't care if Florida's the best team in the country or the worst team in the country. I want to play Florida every year. It's not Georgia's responsibility to make sure that the opponents on their schedule are good. That's not Georgia. I mean, I would rather every team we played be shitty. Right. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, the goal is not to watch Georgia play 12 amazing regular season games. The goal is to go 12-0.
And then I've seen a lot of people
it's not Georgia's fault that Vanderbilt's in the toilet and we have to play them every year. I mean, Georgia doesn't schedule Vanderbilt. We have to play Vanderbilt.
No, I'm with you. I'm a dog fan. But I'm saying, so
the only thing Georgia controls is the non-con. And Georgia's been one of the best teams in the country when it comes to scheduling non-cons.
Oh, definitely.
We play two Power 5 non-con opponents almost every single year. This coming year being the exception because we had to cancel the Oklahoma game, which I don't like. It pisses me off. And if we really wanted to play that game, we'd have found a way to play it. It's bullshit that we got out of it. I mean, I'm not going to make excuses. That was bullshit. The whole conference made us cancel. That's horse shit. Georgia can schedule any non-conference game they want to. Period.
And then I had another question about how teams. I feel like you see a lot of these elite programs, like especially with Alabama, Ohio State. I feel like they don't rotate their star receivers as much as UGA does, and I feel like that comes back to bite them late in the season. Like those you hear them bitching and moaning about.
Well, that's a good point. The other point is Georgia doesn't have any star receivers. I mean, you're not taking Jamison Williams out of the game. unless he's hurt. You're not taking Marvin Harrison out of a game to put Ladd McConkey in. Why would you? I mean, you're not going to do that. So, you know. But you make a point. Yeah, those guys play all the time. So then when they don't play, not only is the guy that's coming in to replace them a little less talented, but they don't have the timing and the chemistry with the quarterback and all that kind of stuff. So there's some truth to what you're saying, but there's also a reason why some first-round NFL draft pick is not coming out of the game every other play like Ladd McConkey is, or Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint, or any of these other B-level receivers that Georgia has.
Yeah, Saban even said it himself last year after the Natty that his receivers had barely any experience and they didn't have a chance, really.
Yeah.
So,
and Georgia does that all over the place, not just at wide receiver. For every position except quarterback, Georgia does that. I mean, we play 7-8 different offensive linemen every single game. We play 8-9 defensive linemen every single game. We play 4 or 5 inside linebackers every single game. Quarterback's really the only position we don't rotate in and out.
I see our linemen get subbed out, and I really don't even worry. Like last year, we lost Sawyer, and Broderick Jones went in and looked like a All-American. Same with Mims went in this year against TCU, looked just about as good. It's crazy our depth. Kirby's done a good job. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, buddy.
I really
good to hear from you,
appreciate
man. Yeah, good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Morning, Lou. How you doing?
Doing good.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put this out here. I'm a Georgia fan, so I just got to hit you with it. Even though we've won back-to-back national championships, who have we played?
Yeah, who have they played? Ain't playing nobody. I mean, look, we could beat the Buffalo Bills. They'd be out here with the excuses. So, I mean,
exactly.
There's nobody we can't. Georgia beat 7 ranked teams. And unless you're a fan of a team that beat more than that, then shut the fuck up. And hey, breaking news. You're not a fan of a team that beat more than that, because nobody beat more than that. So stop it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. TCU had a tougher strength of schedule than Alabama. We should have been in. Georgia didn't play nobody. Shut up. Georgia beat 7 top 25 teams. Just quit it.
Yeah, I've got a couple of quick questions for you just to see some things. One, what was the better moment of the national championship? Was it David Pollock saying that to Nick Saban?
Yeah, that was better than anything that happened in the game. I mean, it was a 65-7 game. There was nothing good about the game. So, yeah, that was the best part. It doesn't even matter what you're about to say.
I was going to ask whether or not was it them going over there getting refreshment of the chicken wings.
Yeah, that was second.
Okay. Did you see where Stackhouse is coming back?
No, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Stackhouse and a couple of other people. I can't remember everybody who said they were coming back, but I remember Stackhouse was coming back, and I thought that was a big return right there, because that's a house right there.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, granted that we have everything coming in, and yet we don't know what we're having leaving out of the portal. With our schedule that's coming up here, I give it about a 75% chance of us three-peating. Would you consider that about accurate?
I don't know about 75. I don't think there's ever been a team that has a 75% chance of winning a national title going into a season. But, I mean, there's 4 or 5 teams who are going to have a good chance to win it, and Georgia's one of them.
I mean, because you don't know who you're going to have. If it's Milrose,
nobody's
Alabama,
ever had a 75% chance of winning a national title in January, ever.
Yeah, I mean, I give you that, but Oklahoma's, no. Ohio State doesn't know what they got behind C.J. Stroud. Milrose, unless you can just cover the run the whole time, he really can't throw that well. I mean, only other team you really got to worry about is Michigan.
Okay.
I mean, do you disagree?
Yes, I disagree. There's 4 or 5 teams that have a really good shot to win the national title. Georgia's one of them. Nobody has a 75% chance to win the national title. Nobody. It's rare to have a 75% chance to win the national title the day before a national title game when you know the 2 teams that are playing. There's just no way someone has a 75% chance of winning a national title in January when there's 130 teams that have a chance to win it. It's nowhere near a 75% chance.
I guess I'm just kind of biased because I am a Georgia fan.
Yeah.
And I see what we have coming back and what we have coming in, and I'm looking at our schedule for the next year.
Right. Yeah. Now there's a 75% chance Georgia goes 12-0 because you can look at the schedule and see that, but you don't know who we would play in the 13th game. You don't know who we would play in the 14th game, and you don't know who we would play in the 15th game.
Yeah. I'll give you that one. I'm just trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with being optimistic. I just disagree on the 75%. But, hey, thank you for coming on. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. How's it going?
Going good.
Hey, congratulations to your dogs. Much deserved.
Thank you, sir.
It's been fun to watch them, and they definitely deserve to win. If it wasn't going to be my Vols, I'd much rather it be a SEC team and an East team at that. So, I watched your video after the game. I liked the whole discussion about past teams and how you thought it was silly. I think it's silly for a couple of reasons. Like, you talked about, the 19 LSU and all the way to Nebraska and all that. And, Tennessee almost went back to back too. But I also wanted to raise another point. I think the farther you go back in history, the harder it is to pick an old team because the game has advanced so much that, as good as that Nebraska team was, or the USC team, or some team from the 80s, the athletes are just better now, I think. I think the scheming has gotten so much better that it'd be pretty hard to find a team in history that could compete with Georgia, to be honest with you, right now, because just, it's in the now. And then you could make an argument for like 19 LSU. That's not that far away, but what do you think? What do you think about that?
I think that's always been the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of silly to make those comparisons. Now, I do want to ask you something because I do disagree a little bit with you when you talk about the Vols ranking, recruiting and all that, because you kind of make it seem like we've never recruited well. But it's weird because, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because when we had like Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt, which were not very good head coaches, we were pretty much consistently recruiting in the top 5, top 10. Particularly with Butch Jones, I think we had 3 top 5 recruiting classes, but he couldn't do anything with it, right? And then we get Heupel, which is obviously a much better coach than we've had in a long time, but our recruiting classes have actually went down since the Butch years. So what do you think of? What do you make of that?
What do I make of Tennessee's recruiting classes?
Well, what I just said, how whenever we had in the past, right, with Butch Jones and all that, we had top 5 recruiting classes, couldn't do much with it. And with Heupel, which is a much better coach, we are not recruiting at the same rate that we did in those years. It seems like we can't seem to get both things together, a good coach and a good recruiter, which I'm not saying Heupel's a bad recruiter, but, comparatively.
I guess I'm not sure what you're asking me. You're asking me why Heupel's a shitty recruiter?
No, he's not a shitty recruiter. He's still top 10 right now. But, yeah, we can move off from that. Here's something little lighthearted. You said, what was it? You like Zaxby's better than Raising Cane's, right?
I don't like either one.
Oh, really?
No.
Which one is the one you said you liked?
What, a chicken place?
Yeah.
Well, Lifesaver is the local place I usually go to, but as far as chain places go, Bojangles and KFC.
Oh, okay. I was just wanting to get your thoughts on the Georgia putting out that video of Stetson Bennett working at the Raising Cane's. I didn't know if you thought it was blasphemy or not.
No.
All right, man. All right, well, again, congratulations, and hopefully we'll give you a good game next year, maybe pull out a win or something.
We'll see. All right, buddy. Thank you for coming on. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. Well, actually, it is morning here. I'm stationed overseas. Love your show.
Oh, thank you.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the national championship. I'm an Auburn fan, but it's amazing to see what y'all have done. Well, yeah, I wanted to kind of call because I know you're not a big fan of Hugh Freeze, but he has Auburn at number 3 in the transfer portal rankings, and took the recruiting class from 60 to 18. So I think he is a decent football coach. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's a decent football coach.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm aware that we are way behind y'all and Alabama when it comes to talent, and recruiting is our biggest need. So how many bang-up transfer classes would you say Auburn needs before they can kind of be competitive again with the likes of like y'all in Alabama?
4 in a row.
Damn, that many?
Well, I mean, Bama's been doing it for 15 years in a row. Georgia's been doing it for 8 years in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, the transfer portal makes it a little bit easier to fill in gaps, but
yeah.
I
mean, I think with a good transfer class like this, we can be competitive next year, but we're not anywhere near, you're right, the likes of competing with y'all year in, year out until we start recruiting on a high level at least 4 years in a row. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm going to be surprised if there ever becomes a dominant team for a significant period of time that's doing it through the transfer portal.
Well, yeah, and that kind of leads me to my other question, which is the Lane Kiffin situation.
Yeah, he can't recruit.
Do you think Auburn dodged a bullet on that? Because that guy cannot recruit. And he's claiming to be the transfer king, and they're like number 19, I think, in the transfer rankings right now. So I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, right now, Lane Kiffin's no different than Hugh Freeze. They won 9 or 10 games at Ole Miss and can't win a division or nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's about all my question. I guess, sorry, I had one other thought. I know you're not a fan of Hugh or Dabo, kind of for the same reasons. But well, also Hugh has other baggage. But I don't know. Do you think that do you think Hugh can be? I don't know. I guess I don't have that many. I guess that's the end of my question. But I appreciate you letting me on.
Yes, sir. Good to hear from you, man. Yeah. Good luck to Auburn this year. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou, what's up, man? Did you see on Twitter where Bama man was crying about it would have been more competitive if they would have got in? Yeah, it was competitive when you gave up 52 to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they can't get over it. And I got an early prediction. They're going to lose to A&M next year.
Oh, damn. They do have to play them there. They do have to play them there.
Damn, what's the other road game? Auburn. I got them losing to A&M and Auburn next year.
Wow.
They'll miss the playoffs again. And do you think OU and Texas coming in next year after this upcoming season? They coming into the SEC next year?
There's a lot more talk in that direction now than there ever has been before.
Yeah.
But it seems like we need to know something by May or June, because it's not the type of thing where we can just snap our fingers a month before the 2024 season starts and say, okay, now Texas and Oklahoma are in.
Yeah.
It seems like if they're going to come in 2024, like that needs to be known by the summer of 2023, I would think. And that has been the time of year, the last couple of years, where realignment stuff has happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's because it's kind of a down period with the rest of college football in May and June, so that's when a lot of these conferences have their meetings or something about that kind of stuff. I don't really know, but it's been May, June, July the last 2 years where all the realignment or conference expansion stuff, where all the news has come out. So my guess would be that if we hear something this May, June, or July, okay. If we don't hear something this May, June, or July, then my feeling is that it's just going to have to wait till 2025, because you just get to a certain point where we're too close to 2024 to move them in.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got scheduling, and then there's just things we don't ever think about. But it's not just like, how far in advance do you think Georgia is scheduling hotel rooms for a trip to wherever they're in Missouri or whatever? They're not calling Holiday Inn a week before the game and booking rooms. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into moving these teams around the country. And it seems like if Texas and Oklahoma aren't if something's not known by this summer, I feel like there just might not be enough time to get them in by 2024.
Yeah, understood. One last thing about the 12-team playoffs coming up. I know some people like it, some people don't. I personally don't like it because, like, for example, this year, Bama took 2 losses and they were out. Even though with the 12 team, they take 2 losses, they'll still be in. Maybe even 3 losses, they could probably still sneak in just because they're Bama. I don't like it, but I mean, I guess I get used to it eventually. But what are your thoughts on that? Like a 3-loss, like a 9-3 Utah, like, who are they beating? You get what I'm saying?
Well, I see what you're saying, but it's going to give us great football games to watch during the month of December that right now we don't have. So I'm never going to be in favor of less football.
Yeah.
And somebody ranked 5 through 12 is going to win a national title. I mean, it's not going to take long. Maybe it won't be a 12 ranked 8-4 team, but one of these. I mean, there's been a couple of years where Georgia at 5, maybe could have done something in the playoffs, or some team at 6, or some team at 7, or whatever. And so. I mean, Georgia won the national title this year as the 1 seed, but that's only the second time that's ever happened. So it's not like, I mean, all we ever do is cry about how terrible the playoff committee is. So I mean, it's not like they get everything right. Like, if they did, 1 would beat 4 every year, and 2 would beat 3 every year, and then 1 would beat 2. But that's only happened twice in the 9 years we've had the playoffs. So.
I kind of feel like it. I kind of feel like it takes away like most of the meaning of the regular season. Like a 3-loss team could still get in, or
it'll take away some of the meaning of some of the games. Like take Ohio State and Michigan this year. That game can't get any bigger than what it was this year. It can't. Both teams are undefeated. It can't get any bigger.
Exactly.
So okay, let's fast forward to a 12-team playoff. Okay, that game might not be as big in a 12-team playoff as it was with a 4-team playoff, but it's still going to be big because the winner of that game is potentially going to get a first-round bye in the playoffs, whereas the loser of that game is going to have to play a first-round game. Also, don't forget about all the other games that now have no playoff meaning that will have playoff meaning. In other words, let's say you're ranked 11th in week 12. You're not getting in a 4-team playoff. It doesn't matter what you do in week 13. It doesn't matter what you do your last game. If you're ranked 11th, you're not getting in a 4-team playoff with 1 game to go. Well, now if you're ranked 11, you could get in a playoff with 1 team to go. So I'm trying to think of some examples maybe that involved teams ranked in that range.
Like for instance, LSU when they lost to A&M and they felt like the 12th,
that game would have been a huge loss for LSU. That would have had all kinds of playoff ramifications. The ACC title game this year. Clemson lost to South Carolina. Okay, that meant no matter what happened in the ACC title game, they weren't getting into a 4-team playoff. But in an expanded playoff, not only could they still get in, they could still get a bye by winning the ACC title game. And North Carolina, who they played, also could have it. So that basically would have been. So some games are going to have a lot more meaning. Some games are going to have a little bit less meaning. But it's not going to ruin the meaning of any game. That's why they're putting in these first-round buys and teams 5 through 8 get home playoff games, whereas 9 through 12 get away games. Because even if you're 12-0, your conference championship game is going to mean something.
For the bye.
Yeah, yes, you're getting in the playoffs if you go 12-0, no matter what happens in the conference championship game. But are you going to get a bye, or are you going to have to play in the first round? That's what the conference championship game will determine. Or if you're not in your conference championship game, but you're ranked 13th, right? Well, if you get a decent win that last week of the season, you only need 1 or 2 other teams ahead of you to lose in the last weekend of the season, and then maybe you're in. So there's going to be a lot of games the last couple of weeks of the season that right now have no playoff meaning at all, that are going to have some playoff meaning. But yes, it's also true that the regular season as a whole won't be quite as important as it is now in terms of who makes the playoffs, because you can make the argument now that almost every single game of the year is a playoff game, because it's possible you can get left out with 1 loss. It's unlikely, but it's possible you can get left out of this thing with 1 loss. There's a lot of people that wanted TCU left out with 1 loss, so it's possible.
Man, I seen some people wanted TCU left out at 12-1 or 13-0, even if they would have beat K-State. I'm like, man, y'all crazy.
Then they went out and beat Michigan and proved everybody wrong.
Exactly. But yeah, good talking with you, Uncle Lou. I can't wait for next season.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, stick around in the off season. We have a lot of fun here, and I appreciate you calling in. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
How's it going?
Going great.
Good to be back. So, first and foremost, as a Georgia Tech fan, congratulations to Georgia. They earned it. They deserve it more than anything. And it's great for them to have 2 national championships, and a lot of people are saying they've already won next year because of their schedule. So,
well, the regular season schedule doesn't have anything to do with who you might play in the playoffs. So, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous to say, well, Georgia's winning it all because they have an easy regular season. What Georgia's regular season shouldn't have any impact or effect on how good some random Big Ten team is, or random Pac-12 or ACC or whatever. So, I mean, Georgia could play 12 middle school teams and still lose in the first round if someone's good enough to beat them.
Yeah, well, I think that Georgia has debunked the idea that the Big Ten is good or can hang with the SEC. Ohio State that's it. Michigan was a massive disappointment. But as you pointed out in your stream, I believe it was, that TCU was the first non-con Power 5 team they played all year.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, obviously it showed up against, and if TCU's defense hadn't been so bad, it would have been a blowout.
Yeah.
And that's why they lost to Georgia.
I think Michigan's loss to TCU, to me, is more embarrassing than TCU's loss to Georgia. Well, there's no excuse for Michigan losing that game. That is pitiful that they lost to that TCU team.
They beat Ohio State somehow. I mean, that's the beauty of college football, is that the transitive property never works. They beat Ohio State. Ohio State looked like the better team than them, but they whipped the crap out of Ohio State, and then Ohio State loses to Georgia, and they lose to TCU. I mean, both of them look terrible in the playoff. Well, I mean, Ohio State looked great up until the end, but yeah. I mean, a lot of people are saying that Georgia, I mean, I find it hard to dispute this argument that Georgia runs college football now. And
well, they
they've
do.
taken Alabama's place, basically.
Yeah, they do. That's true.
I think
there's not a team in the history of college football that's won 2 national titles in a row that wasn't at the top of the college football world at that minute. It's never happened. Yeah. And now's not suddenly the first time. Georgia is the kings of college football right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is what's so crazy is that they've done it without a stacked wide receiver room and with a JUCO quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane. I don't think you could ever pick out another team that's won 2 national titles in history without a ridiculously talented wide receiver room and an NFL caliber quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Bama with A.J. McCarron, Florida with Tim Tebow. But Tebow only started one of those national title seasons. Tebow was a backup in 2006 when Florida won the wasn't it 2006 and 2008 that Florida won it? I think it was.
Yeah.
Tebow was a backup in 2006 and a starter in 2008. McCarron and with Bama in the early 2010s wasn't like some kind of all-time great quarterback, and then Stetson Bennett. Pretty much every other team that's won the Natty has had like amazing quarterback
from the get-go. I'm not
Trevor
saying
Lawrence,
that Stetson
Deshaun
is
Watson,
not an
Joe
NFL.
Burrow. And the list goes on.
I'm not saying
Cam Newton.
that Stetson is not an NFL caliber quarterback. I just think that all these other teams, their quarterbacks from their freshman season or whenever they first started out, they've been expected to be an NFL caliber quarterback.
Yeah.
Stetson started out at Georgia, then transferred to JUCO, then transferred back to Georgia. I mean, I don't think anybody could foresee him being an NFL caliber quarterback at the end of his journey.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the people that say Stetson's not any good. It's just that Georgia has it's just a stacked team around him. As if Ohio State doesn't have a stacked team around CJ. I mean, CJ Stroud is throwing to 4 wide receivers that are better than any wide receiver Georgia has, period.
Yeah, and they're probably all first rounders.
Yeah.
Or at least top picks. I mean, first, second, third.
Bryce Young last year. Wide receivers better than anybody Georgia's got. I mean, so, but for whatever reason, it's like, oh, Georgia only wins because they have a stacked team. Well, isn't that normally who wins? Maybe you go back to Cam Newton in 2010. Auburn wasn't a quote-unquote stacked team, and Cam Newton kind of did it by himself. But all these quarterbacks that Joe Burrow was throwing to NFL wide receivers. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams is throwing to NFL wide receivers. Stetson Bennett's probably got the least talented group of wide receivers to throw to.
I would say that Brock Bowers is going to be ridiculous in the NFL. I think Brock Bowers is going to be a standout in his rookie season. I mean,
he's amazing.
He's just that guy when it comes to tight end. He's built like a tight end. I mean, he's probably bigger than a lot of the NFL tight ends. Right. I don't know his true size, but Big O too. Big O is bigger than any tight end.
Oh, he looks like a building running down the field. It's just crazy.
I think I remember an announcer saying this on TV that he was like a 7th O lineman or a 6th O lineman.
Yeah.
That you could line him up as another tackle or guard. And it works because he's that big.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's ridiculous how Kirby's able to recruit the size like that, and he's not pulling all these flashy recruits like Saban, who's got 7 5-stars, but hasn't won a national title in 2 years because Georgia. But I mean, I don't know. I'm incredibly shocked that Georgia was able to do it back to back, because that's an incredibly difficult thing to do, especially in this world.
Well, yeah, because especially the second year, not only do you have to have the talent, that's obvious, but it's hard to, you have to work really hard. And I think any great, like, I think Nick Saban would, say, national titles aren't really won the day the national title game is played. I mean, you've got to get a team to put everything in for 8 or 9 months, starting in off-season workouts, and then spring practice, and then summer workouts, and all that. And to get a team that just won a national title to work that hard immediately again, that's one of the reasons it's so hard to win 2 national titles in a row. Is because it's hard to get a group of people who just won a national title to work just as hard to win another one. And obviously you have to have the talent, but to get all the entire team to buy in like that 2 years in a row, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was
All
good
right.
to hear from you. We're going to have to run through these next calls real quick. Noah, Kevin, Wayne, and Blake, y'all will be the last callers. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. I've only been
I will.
like 20 years old, so I haven't been watching college football all that long. But I think Brock Bowers is like the most. When he was a freshman last year, right?
Yes.
He is the only like just NFL ready freshman I think I've ever seen.
Well, I think I think Trevor Lawrence could have played in the NFL at 18 years old. There's been a few here and there, but it's unusual.
Yeah. And talking about the whole playoff thing, I prefer 2 teams. I preferred 2, but since we're already at 4 and the regular season is a little bit diluted a little bit, I don't mind 12 teams. And honestly, rest in peace to the Pirate, but I wouldn't mind 68 teams that Mike Leach was advocating for. You remember that?
Yeah, well, I mean that's you just don't have time to do that. It's just ridiculous, but
yeah, no. But I have one question for you, and then I'll let you go. But who do you think will be the most improved team in the SEC? From last year to this coming
Texas
season,
A&M.
like the most improved team. Okay, Texas A&M.
I mean, you have to pick a shitty team. We talked about this a little earlier on the show with something different. It's hard to go from 9 wins to 12 wins. Now, if you think about it, that's only a 3-game increase, right? It's really hard to go from 9 wins to 12 wins. It's not that hard to go from 1 to 4 or 4 to 7 or 5 to 8. I don't want to say it's not, well, maybe not hard is not the right way to put it, but it's a lot easier to improve if you're terrible than if you win 9 games. So Texas A&M, Auburn, Florida had a bad
Arkansas?
year,
Didn't
but
they
I
go,
don't
like,
think
6 and
Florida's going to be
6?
any good next year. Arkansas, I don't know about. I think Texas A&M and Auburn have a better chance of improving by 3 or more games than Arkansas does.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be
Auburn's
Georgia.
record?
Georgia can't improve. Alabama went 10-2. They can't improve 3 games. Tennessee went 10-2. They can't improve 3 games. South Carolina, no. They'd have to go from 8 to 11. No, not happening. Florida won 6. They'd have to go from 6 to 9. No, not happening. Probably Texas A&M or Auburn.
All right. Yeah, I get that. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking my call.
All right, buddy. Yep. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, so I'm a Georgia fan. I grew up in, I kind of went to high school and stuff in Alabama. So, I was surrounded by the Gumps constantly. What is it that makes it so hard for me as a Georgia fan, it's always been difficult for me to be as confident as some Georgia fans are.
How old are you?
Not Georgia fans, but Alabama fans rather, because a lot of them can beat their chest and say whatever, and they eat their crow later on if they lose, and they just blame it on whatever. But with Georgia, it seems like whenever we get into these our hard games, quote unquote, I would just find myself nervous. I'm like, I don't know, I feel like we can do it, but at the same time, I still get nervous. I feel like Mark Richt has got me broken.
Yeah, well, I mean, Georgia's lost a lot of heartbreaking games over the years. I mean, that's got a lot to do with it. Georgia's in a position now where they're winning those games instead of losing them, and that's the difference in what Georgia was under Mark Richt versus what they are under Kirby Smart.
I mean, like, because I remember in high school watching Tennessee drop that Hail Mary on us.
Yeah.
To beat us, South Carolina beating us right at the end, and then getting shit for it the entire time. But it's just, it's weird because I know we've moved past that point and everything, but I still get nervous in these games, and I know that Kirby's
the Missouri game's a great example. There are a lot of years in my lifetime where everything else being the same, Georgia would have lost that game this year at Missouri. I've seen it a bunch of times. Georgia's better than Missouri, more talented than Missouri,
Right.
better coached than Missouri, better players across the board. But for whatever reason, they just go out there and they get beat. And, those kinds of things are the difference between winning national titles or going 10-2 every year. And you have to learn to get to that point. It's generally not something that happens overnight. I mean, if Tennessee played South Carolina 10 times this year, how many times do you think Tennessee wins? Probably 9.
Yeah, 8 or 9, yeah.
But they walked into that game like it was going to be given to them, and they got embarrassed. It's hard to get to a point where you win. It's hard to win every game you're supposed to. Never mind upsets or beating somebody that's favored against you or whatever. It's hard just to win the games you're supposed to.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it's hard to just have an undefeated season.
Well, not even
in
that.
General, not a lot of teams
if you're favored in 8 games and an underdog in 4, it's hard to go 8-4.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because most teams over the course of a season, most teams are going to lose at least one game they're not supposed to lose.
Right.
It happens to almost every team at least once a year. I mean, if you just look at this year, Ohio State was favored over Michigan. They lost. Michigan was favored over TCU. They lost. Alabama was favored over Tennessee and LSU. They lost. Texas A&M was favored over App State. They lost. Clemson was favored over Notre Dame. They lost. It's very hard just to win the games you're supposed to win. Never mind winning a conference championship, a playoff game, a national title, or getting some kind of upset win.
Right. And the argument of just you hadn't played anybody doesn't really matter when you get into those upper echelon of playoff games and stuff like that, and you're playing these tougher teams.
Once you get through September or halfway through October, the whole "they ain't played nobody" thing is the most ridiculous argument in college football.
Right.
Because by that point in the season, every single team has played some nobodies and some somebodies. I mean, it's just the way it is.
One other thing I just want to know your thought on. I know you talked a little bit about the playoff games and stuff like that with the expansion and whatever. I know everybody talks about it, but with the 12-team playoff, do you think it moves more to the best teams will get in rather than the most deserving? Because for a long time, it's always been most deserving. But with the best teams, it's going to be these top 12, and they have their chance to go as far as they want to.
You're still going to have people voting teams in. It's going to be exactly the same way it is now. It's not going to be any different. They're just going to be voting 12 teams in instead of 4.
Well, you have the automatic bids and stuff too, right? So like Kansas State would.
Well, yeah, but it's only 4 automatic bids.
True.
But do you know how those automatic bids are determined?
Conference champions, right?
But there's 10 conference champions.
Well, it's what is it? The 4 Power 5 and then 1 Group of 5. Is that right?
Well, that would be 5 teams. It's the 4 highest ranked conference champions. Well, who determines the rank?
Still committee. Yeah, it still comes out.
It's still the committee. So it's the reality is, unless you want to cut college football down to about 30 teams, there is no other way to pick a postseason. There's 130 teams in college football. You can't do it like the NFL does it, where you just have 2 conferences and you have these division winners and these teams make the playoffs because they won these division. You can't do that with 130.
Yeah, you play till the start of next year.
I mean, if we went to 24 teams, you're still going to have people picking.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I just think you're going to get a lot less of the argument. I'm sure people will still make the argument for their team, but you'll get less of the argument of like, oh, like this year, Bama's like, we deserve to be in. Well, if you would have won your games,
you're still going to get the arguments.
But
it's just going to be a different group of people arguing. Instead of this year, this year you had Alabama and Tennessee at 5 and 6. They're mad they didn't get in. Okay, 2 years from now they're going to get in at 5 and 6. But guess who's going to be mad? 13 and 14.
13, 14, yeah.
Yeah, 13 is going to be saying, we're better than 12. 14 is going to be saying, well, we're better than 12 too. We should be 11. It's just moving the argument further down the ranking list. That's all. Instead of arguing over who should be 4th and 5th, we're going to be arguing over who should be 12th or 13th.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Lou, thank you for your time. Buddy. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man, appreciate you coming on. It's never going to be fair, and that's fine with me. That's one of the best parts about college football is that it's not fair. It's not subjective. It's objective. That's you got people that spend half their time saying, I hate the NFL. I don't want college football to turn into the NFL. And then they spend the other half of their time saying, The playoff system isn't fair. Well, that's because we're not the NFL. What do you want? Do you want the NFL or do you want college football where we get to argue about everything? I would rather have college football where we get to argue about everything. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's up, Lou?
Hey, bud.
What a year, Lou. It was I know I called after the game, but man, the Bulldogs, they came away on top. It was a good year for if you was a Georgia fan.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to congratulate you, Lou. You had a good year. You kept everything interesting throughout the year. I really appreciate your show.
Well, thank you.
So, yep. I had a couple questions. Again, congratulations to all the Georgia fans. You know, I love the Buckeyes, but we didn't make it. We can't play. We gave up too many yards and points on defense, so you can't win the national championship giving up 500 yards a game.
Right.
Yeah. But I had a couple questions. One question I had, I was curious about this Vandergrift guy that y'all got. I heard about him when y'all signed him. I know who Beck is, and I seen Beck come in and when they took Bennett out, I watched that game. Well, that was a horrible game to watch. I was almost like you couldn't even watch that game. Like I don't know. Anyway, but Beck looked pretty good. Beck looked like he is gonna be our starter. But my question is about the Vandergrift guy. Is Vandergrift on the same level as Beck? Because Beck looks pretty good, and he's kind of tall, and he looks like a prototypical NFL style quarterback. Is Vandergrift comparable to him? I don't, I don't
He's a
follow
big
Georgia.
guy too, and he probably runs a little bit better than Carson Beck. The knock on Vandergrift is really just based around the competition he played in high school. He played at a small private school in Athens, so he wasn't playing the competition week in and week out. Now I don't know what that means. I mean, they've been watching him practice for 2 years now in Athens, so I don't know what goes on the practice field. But the consensus opinion that I get just from listening to Georgia fans, reading what they say in the different groups and all that, is that Brock is probably going to be the odd man out, that it's going to be Carson Beck this year. Gunner, who's a year behind Brock, most people think is a little better than Brock, and that because of that, Brock will end up transferring out after spring practice.
That's what I was going to ask you. So will one of them transfer? Because I've never heard of this Stockton kid.
Yeah, he was a freshman this year, so it's his first year in the system.
Where is he from? Where's the Stockton kid from?
Somewhere in Georgia. I'm not sure where. South Georgia probably, because why wouldn't he be?
Okay, yeah. I know who Beck is. I remember when he was coming out of high school, he was a big recruit. Beck is going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
He looks pretty good.
He's from the Jacksonville area in Florida.
Yeah, he's from Orange Park.
Yeah.
Yep, I know all about Beck. Yeah. But again, man, that was a great year. So, what do you think about the upcoming season? I know you heard about Clemson hiring Lincoln Riley's little brother.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. Yeah. I'm more impressed that Dabo fired someone than I am at the hire he made. I wasn't convinced he would fire Streeter, especially after just 1 year. And it's a little strange. If you look at the numbers, Clemson was actually better this year with Streeter at OC than they were last year with what's his name that's now a head coach at Virginia or whatever it is. But it's clear if you watch Clemson play that things just weren't things weren't clicking for them offensively. So I do think they needed to fire Streeter. I just wasn't convinced Dabo would do it, but he did it. And I think he made a home run hire. So I don't know what that'll mean for next year, but
right,
because they still need like an entirely new offensive line. Nagata, their best wide receiver this year, has announced he's going pro. A lot of people didn't think he would. They thought he'd come back. He said, no, I've had enough. He's gone pro. They've got two really good running backs in Moffitt and Shipley. And we'll see how Cade Klubnik does in his second year with a new offensive coordinator. And Clemson's losing a lot on defense. So I don't think this means like Clemson's automatically going 15-0 and winning the national title next year. But I think hiring Garrett Riley is better than keeping Brandon Streeter, no matter the circumstances.
Right. Well, the last thing I wanted to touch on was, I watch a lot of the show, your show, and some of the other shows, and I've been hearing a lot of Tennessee fans say the Buckeyes didn't deserve to be there, and they would beat Ohio State. And I'm I know I'm not crazy, but I just want to say this to all the Tennessee fans. We can go back years and years on end. Tennessee would never beat Ohio State. It wouldn't even be close.
Ohio State was better than Tennessee this year.
Yeah, like those Tennessee fans. Oh, Tennessee would. And then I heard some of the Georgia fans saying, "Oh, Tennessee was their toughest opponent." I don't know if they watched the same game I watched on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Ohio State would have beat Tennessee. Yeah. Hey, thank you for the call.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to let you go. I got to get out of here. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. Congrats on the championship.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Fan.
Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to ask, where do you think this year's or the championship Georgia team, where do you think they rank all time, and what all time teams do you think could beat them?
Well, there's been 100 and how many national champions? You want me to rank them? I'm not going to do that.
Or just rank like maybe top 3. Sorry.
95 Nebraska, 2001 Miami, 2019 LSU.
Wow, that's the exact same.
That would be in my lifetime. So
Okay.
1978 till now. That would be my top 3. Nebraska, 95 Nebraska, number 1. 2000, I think it was 2001 Miami, number 2.
Yeah.
And 2019 LSU, number 3. That would be my top 3 in my lifetime.
Okay, thanks.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you
Good
coming
night.
on. Huh? Yeah, appreciate you coming on. That was amazing. Rank every national champion off the top of your head. Go. I love college football, but I can't do that. I can't do that. All right. I'm going to get out of here, everybody. I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. I do this show every Tuesday and Thursday night, year round. So don't run off just because the games are done being played. This is not a place for casual fans anyway. So if you're a casual fan, I don't know why you bother coming around here anyway, but we're diehard college football fans here. There is no off season. There's just the part of the season where we don't play games. But transfer portal, recruiting, signing day coming up in February. Spring practices start at the end of February, run through March. Spring games, the end of March, first 2 weeks of April. Another transfer portal period after the spring games into May. So plenty to talk about over the next couple of months here on the channel. Make sure you stay tuned. Every Tuesday and Thursday we do the call-in show. Pointless, barely watchable videos uploaded almost every single day, which is amazing. Thank you to all the callers that took the time to call in today. I know some of you had to wait on hold for quite some time, so I really appreciate y'all being patient. I try to run through the callers as quick as I can without rushing people off because they have been waiting for a while, so it's a delicate balance there. It's not easy to do without making people mad, but I do the best I can. If you weren't able to call in today, don't worry. Like I said, we do this every Tuesday and Thursday year-round, so I'll be back next Tuesday night around the same time, 9 o'clock, and I hope to see you all here. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. And have a good morning.